of leaders and parliaments for the welfare strategy of government of humanity. We beseech you to look upon your urban favorites, your servants, who may be pleased to call the person to perform such important task in this land. Let your blessings descend upon them assembled and granted them as in your presence. Treat and consider all matter that shall come at the deliberation. Is so just and holy manner to promote your honor and glory and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed to your church.
Amen. Item number 2, communication from the chair.
Members, I welcome you to this afternoon sitting. And before we commence, I want to welcome and introduce the following delegations. The first is from the Archdiocese of Kampala, Monsignor Charles Kasivati, Vicar General, you're welcome. Father Remgias Kaira, PPS to the Archbishop, you're welcome. Frida Ruvega Nyamahonge, Liaison Officer to the Archbishop, you're welcome. John Sekamate, Administrator of the Archbishop, you're welcome. James Ruchamsi, Driver of the Archbishop, you're welcome. The second set is from the family of the late Dr. Cyprian Torwanga, Father Joseph Wamara, nephew to the late, you're welcome. Miss Olivia Nancha, Sister the late Archbishop, you're welcome. Miss Elizabeth Nasubuga, another sister to the late Archbishop, you're welcome. Mr. Emma Mutebi, a nephew to the late Archbishop, you are very, very welcome. So, honor members, welcome to this sitting. First, I'll amend the order paper to make provision for a short statement from the Ministry of Energy concerning the oil pipeline. That will be after the motion for the Archbishop. Then I also want to communicate on the following. At the 12th sitting of the third meeting of the 5th session of the 10th Parliament, held on 2nd March 2021, I informed this House that following passing of the supplementary expenditure for Schedule 4 for financial 2020-2021, I received formal complaints against the compensation for land mentioned in the supplementary. The complaints were related to the following: 1, the size of some of the land in question; 2, the quantum of the compensation; 3, the fact that beneficiaries in the first payment did not receive their payment. And I took to establish an ad hoc committee to investigate those allegations, to get the full details and make recommendations accordingly. Ad hoc committee to investigate the alleged irregularities and inflated figures for the land compensation in that supplementary is hereby established. It will be a small committee of 3, comprised the Honorable Veronica Vichetero as chair of the committee, to the Honorable Silas Aogon, member, to the Honorable Samba Oshabe, member. These are terms of reference to investigate the claims. The supplementary expenditure Schedule 4 for financial 2020-2021 contained gross irregularities in respect of the size of the land for compensation and the quantum. 2, to investigate the basis for determination of the selected beneficiaries and the amounts for compensation contained in the supplementary Schedule 4 for financial 2020. 3, to examine whether all the proper and legal procedures under the law of Uganda were followed in the acquisition of the lands in question. 4, to examine any other matters related to the above and make recommendations for sound management of compensation following compulsory acquisition of land. 5, do anything incidental to or pursuant to these terms. Report back to the House within 2 weeks. That is they've already informed you about the composition of the committee. We ask them to work expeditiously so that we can get the necessary answers. I would only, there are just some matters of national interest. Honorable Fono, Yeri, not here. Honorable Abbott, 2 minutes, please.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much for allowing me. I have a matter of national importance. Madam Speaker, I recall very well that the government of Uganda gave the people of Bukoli Islands a very beautiful ferry. Last week, when I was going to the landing site, Madam Speaker, I met a group of around 10 people whose land was taken for the construction of accommodation and also the fire. When I was interacting with them, they were told by the government or by the Minister of Works and UNRWA to vacate these places that they will be paid. Madam Speaker, very few of them have been paid, and if they have been paid, they are saying that the payments were undervalued. Some even they are saying they are going to pay them 200,000 to leave the land where their buildings are. Madam Speaker, it is my humble appeal and prayer that the ministry concerned, Minister of Works, should come and explain the circumstances under which somebody whose land has been taken plus the buildings, a house, could be compensated with 200,000 Uganda shillings. Madam Speaker, I would also want the same ministry to come and explain when are they going to pay those ones who have not been paid. And lastly, I would also pray that they would also list the names of all those whose land was taken before the House so that we should know who among them has been paid and who has not been paid. That is my prayer, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, the members. Now, on our members, because we have guests, we shall transfer these issues to tomorrow. But one of them by Honorable Kasumba has already been handled, the issue of the tobacco farmers. I believe some action was taken as a result of our recommendations in this House. So let me transfer them to tomorrow. I now invite the clerk. Tobacco was handled.
Yes. Right, Honorable Speaker. We have a big problem of the mental.
Yes, can we do it tomorrow? That's what I'm saying.
Tomorrow.
We'll put them tomorrow. The Prime Minister here.
Item number 3, motion for resolution of Parliament to pay tribute to His Grace Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga, the Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Kampala, for his dedicated service to the Roman Catholic Church, the Christian community in Uganda, and the people of Uganda.
Right on the Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, I thank you for giving me this opportunity to move a motion for a resolution of Parliament to pay tribute to His Grace, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga, the Archbishop of Archdiocese of Kampala, for his dedicated service to the Roman Catholic Church, the Christian family in Uganda, and to the people of Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm moving this under Rule 55 of the Rules of Procedure of this August House. Whereas Parliament of Uganda received with grief the sad news of the untimely demise of His Grace, Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga, the Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Kampala, which occurred on Saturday, 3rd April 2021 at his residence, aware that His Grace Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga was a devout Catholic who prepared for his service in the Catholic Church by attending the following institutions: St. Joseph Seminary Nyenga in 1964, Katigondo National Seminary between 72 to 1974, Gaba National Seminary between 1975 to 78, the University of Clermont-Ferrand in France in 1979, Pontifical University of the Holy Cross in Rome in 1994, recognizing that His Grace Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga was ordained a priest on the 8th of April 1978, consecrated a bishop on 1st of March 1977, and as the first bishop of the Diocese of Kasana-Ruero, and later as Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Kampala. This was on 30th September 2006, till the position, he held this position of Archbishop till he passed on. Noting that His Grace, Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga, served the Church in various capacities, including, and I'll mention but a few, President of Caritas Africa in 2006, member of the Executive Committee of the Uganda Joint Christian Council, and chairman of the Finance and Administrative Committee of the Uganda Joint Christian Council, personal secretary to Cardinal Wamala, Archbishop of Kampala, and president and founder of the Cooperative for Development. And then he was professor of canon law at Gaba National Seminary and at St. Mbaga Archdiocesan Major Seminary. And this was from 1995 to 1985 to 1988. He was also executive secretary of the National Committee for the celebration of the centenary of the Uganda Martyrs. This was in 1985, and then Chancellor of the Archdiocese of Kampala, 1984 to 1991, and Vice Chancellor and Curate of the Nabingo Parish. This was 1981 to 1984, and Personal Secretary to the Archbishop of Kampala, Cardinal Emmanuel Nsubuga, in 1978. Appreciating that His Grace, Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga, was a diligent leader who greatly contributed to the growth of the Christian faith in Uganda, as well as the development of the Diocese of Kasana-Ruero and the Archdiocese of Kampala. Cognizant that His Grace, Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga, was a strong advocate for rule of law, constitutionalism, respect for human rights, peace and justice, national cohesion, and interreligious unity as a tool for social and economic transformation. Now, therefore, be it resolved as follows. 1, that Parliament collectively conveys its deepest condolences to the bereaved family, the clergy, religious and faithful of the Archdiocese of Kampala, the people of Uganda, the Christian family in Uganda, the Roman Catholic Church in Uganda and beyond, for the loss of His Grace, Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga. That Parliament takes cognizance of the dedicated service of His Grace, Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga, as Archbishop of Kampala, and his contribution towards the growth of the wider Christian family and the socio-economic development of Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you very much. Is the motion seconded, members? Motion seconded by everybody in the House. Please justify.
Right Honorable Speaker, this is a justification for the resolution of Parliament pay tribute to His Grace, the late Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga, the Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Kampala, on the 3rd of April 2021. The country woke to the sad news of the passing of His Grace, Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga, the Archbishop of Kampala. The Archbishop succumbed to ischemic heart disease following coronary artery thrombosis. In simple terms, heart attack due to a blood clot in the blood vessels that supply the heart. His Grace, Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga, served as Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Kampala from 2006 until the time of his demise. He had previously served as the first bishop of Kasanaruero Diocese from 1996 to 2006. The Archbishop, Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga, was a well-known advocate for work, and he promoted various notable faith-based projects in the sectors of education, health, and also in struggles to improve the livelihoods of our people. He is remembered for setting up the Sabasumba Annual Appeals Fund immediately on his arrival as prelate of the Archdiocese to renovate the roof of Rubaga Cathedral. He mobilized the Christians, and within a short period, the cathedral received a facelift. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the late Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga worked with the government to oversee the renovation of Namugongo Martyrs Shrine, which has become an acclaimed faith and tourist site world over. In addition, led the development of Munyonyo Catholic Martyrs Shrine in 2016, which was later elevated to a basilica in commemoration of Pope Francis' visit to Uganda. I must say, Right Honorable Speaker, that I had the pleasure and the fortune of closely working with the late Archbishop in these projects at Namugongo and also at Munyonyo, and indeed, I was greatly impressed by his commitment and by the advice he was rendering to all of those who were involved in the exercise of preparing for the Pope and making sure that the sites were appropriate. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, as an advocate for work, Archbishop Cyprian Kistorwanga was a transformation leader and supported many village entrepreneurship groups. He founded the Wekembe Microfinance Bank to provide financial services to low-income members of society so as to improve the quality of their lives. Presently, the Wekembe benefits over 30,000 people. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, Archbishop Cyprian Kistorwanga was born on January 19th in 1953 at Chabakadenagalama in Mukono district to Mr. and Mrs. Joseph Wamala. In 1959 to 63, he attended Chabakade Catholic Primary School and then joined Nyenga Minor Seminary for his O-level in 1964. He then proceeded to Katigondo National Major Seminary in 1972 up to 1974, where he studied philosophy. Archbishop Rwanga then joined Gaba National Seminary for his priesthood formation and was later ordained priest by the late Emmanuel Cardinal Nsubuga at Rubaga Cathedral on 9th April 1978. After this ordination, he was appointed private secretary to Cardinal Nsubuga. He then served in various church administrative capacities as Vice Chancellor of the Archdiocese of Kampala and later Substantive Chancellor in 1984, second Vicar General of Kampala Archdiocese in 1988, where he was entrusted with building and renovating the Namugongo Presbytery and to the shrine and the surrounding areas. He pursued his doctorate in canon law in Rome in February 1990. And on his return in 1995, Dr. Kistorwanga was immediately appointed private secretary to Emmanuel Cardinal Wamala. In 1993, during his doctorate studies, he was chosen as secretary to the African Synod of Bishops in Rome, becoming the first Ugandan to hold such a responsibility. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga was appointed first bishop of the Diocese of Kasanaruero on 30th November 1996 and consecrated bishop on 1st March 1997 at Kasanaruero by Cardinal Emmanuel Wamala, then Archbishop of Kampala. On 30th September 2006, Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga was appointed Archbishop of the Archdiocese of Kampala. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, Dr. Cyprian Kistorwanga's ecumenical approach to issues often fostered closer relationships to promote peace, unity, and brotherhood. And he was strongly against the social ills in society and held a solid stance for human rights, for justice, for peace, and also for national reconciliation. Right Honorable Speaker, colleagues, government wishes to extend our profound sympathies to the Catholic Church, the family, and the people of Uganda. May the Almighty God grant his soul eternal peace and eternal rest.
Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Can I invite the Leader of Opposition to second the motion?
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to second a motion for a resolution of Parliament to pay tribute to a spiritual father, a shepherd, a great spiritual director, an iconic cleric, a statesman, chairman of the Uganda Joint Christian Council, and co-chairman of the Interreligious Council, who did a lot for the Catholic Church and the country during the years he has been in service by nurturing us spiritually and offering us direction. The late Archbishop, His Grace, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga, who breathed his last on Saturday, 3rd April 2021. I would like to also observe that most people who viewed TVs on 2nd April watched him, they viewed him very active in the way of the cross. So it was a big shock to the whole country that he was no more on 3rd. As the late Archbishop Cyprian was a talented and brilliant son of Uganda who always desired nothing but the best for his country and its leadership. He was also an intelligent leader with an unmatched capacity for hard work. The late Archbishop shall always be remembered for true advocacy of human rights abuse, corruption, and good governance in Uganda. His firm character and passion for humanity portrayed him as a martyr, God-sent man. Uncommonly for humanity, uncommonly found bishop, just like the late Janan Loom. The late Janan Loom, Bishop Kivenjeri, and Bishop Desmond Tutu that protested against dictatorial regimes. During and after the general elections of 2021, he raised his voice to speak against the outrageous kidnappings and torture of Ugandans in the violation of the human rights and call upon government to unconditionally release all political prisoners. During his reign as the Archbishop of Kampala Diocese, he closely worked with the profound desire to meet the needs of vulnerable people and the church. He strongly defended the rights of Christians and worked tirelessly for peace and justice. He also worked to economically empower his flock through saving cooperatives and other wealth creation programs, which lend a hand in development, improvement of the condition of people's lives. The late Dr. Cyprian Lwanga, Archbishop, has left a mark on the Catholic Church in Uganda and the social and political life of our country. With his bundles of energy, he used to exercise his ministry as a priest and bishop. He committed himself to promote the Catholic Church's mission of integral human development. The country has therefore lost a mentor and leader who offered wise counsel whenever called upon to do so. His clear voice of advocacy for the poor and the oppressed, his commitment to Christian unity and justice, faith, mutual love, and hope for all will be dearly missed. To all those who loved and respected him, who owe him one meaningful tribute, that is, to do all that we can to bring his ideals to reality and to serve this country and the church as he served us. We cannot give up. We owe it to the present and the future generations to rise up and walk the way he did. As the country mourns, our prayers go to the immediate family of the late Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga, the entire Catholic community, and the world over. We call for patience, reflection, and peace throughout the nation during this difficult time of national mourning. The late fought the good fight. He finished the race and he kept the faith. May the Almighty God receive him and crown him for his great deeds. He will be greatly missed. We said he should rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Leader of Opposition. The third seconder is not visible, so we'll just go straight to the contributions. There are so many, but we just need 3 minutes each. I'll try and catch everybody. Let's start with Honorable Nachiwara, Honorable Muingo, Honorable Anywa, Bahati. Let's take those first. Then I'll get some backbenchers, then come this side. 3 minutes, please.
Madam Speaker, and I thank you, Madam Speaker, for personally turning up at Kololo to join the rest of the mourners in mourning for our beloved late Archbishop. And I remember vividly just a few years ago when His Grace the Archbishop came here to honor the Ash Wednesday as the chief celebrant. When I sent you a message when you were chairing the session, you immediately said you are joining the house to give way for the Archbishop who had arrived and the Catholic family of the house to go and honor the Ash Wednesday. So I realized that you pay a lot of attention and you give due respect to the religious leaders in this country.
Thank you.
Right, Honorable Speaker, we have 3 types of archbishops. We have the titular archbishop, and this is an honorary title granted to someone by the Holy Pontiff in recognition of their services to the church. The second one is the official archbishop, and this is given by, this is the given title by virtue of the office of one holds. For example, a proponuncio is an archbishop by virtue of that office. The third one is the metropolitan archbishop. According to the canon law 435, the metropolitan archbishop is the archbishop of his diocese and is appointed by the Roman pontiff and presides over the province. For example, Kampala Archdiocese. The metropolitan archdiocese has 4 independent, but dioceses in their independence with their own bishops. So the late Archbishop Dr. Kizito Lwanga belonged to the 3rd category. And the Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga has fulfilled up to the last day of his life his ecumenical calling as the Archbishop in that category. He has been tireless in organizing seminars, monthly and annual retreats for his priests, and was available 24 hours to attend to their needs and even on phone and late in the night. He has also taken care of that province and he has made for the priests decent support and social assistance according to the norm of the law. He has built decent priest houses and covenants in almost all parishes and initiated a priest's provident fund to support their retirement package. Right, Honorable Speaker, as much as possible, a diocesan bishop is to foster vocations in different ministries. The Archbishop supported seminarians, both minor and major. He has equipped and developed seminaries like in Swantele, Chisubi, in Sentenberger. He has done all that in the short time that he has been with us. The Archbishop rarely lived like a candle in the wind. He was an elegant, powerful preacher of the word of God, and also he could talk to the very minor people in this country with a view of seeking their opinion as if they knew much more than he did. But I think all this was done for him to have a legacy and show people that it is the lower people that matter more than even the higher ones. Right, Honorable Speaker, through this House, I would request that we remember that the matters that we have in Uganda were mainly accorded so because of healing the sick. The Archbishop has healed and alleviated people from poverty, especially the Catholics. I would pray that his life and legacy can be researched on with a view of becoming a martyr in Uganda. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you very much, Oda Mwingo. Then Honorable Anywa. Then Honorable Bahati. I've seen.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker and dear colleagues, I stand here to support the motion, pay tribute to our dear friend, the late Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Kizito. Right Honorable Speaker, the cruel hand of death has robbed this country of a great man, a great pastor, a great teacher, a parent to many of us. Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the Archbishop of Kampala, the late Dr. Cyprian Kizito, preached peace, preached justice, preached welfare and human rights, welfare of individuals. He wanted to see everybody happily enjoying his or her stay in this country. As you are all aware, the Archbishop rose from a very humble background in Mukono, a place called Chabakadde. Very little was known about that place until Archbishop was born. Very remote, very quiet place in Mukono district. People there today, we can say he has transformed that rural area, and we are very proud of it. Many of us, Right Honorable Speaker, are beneficiaries of the efforts of this great man of God. Yet the Archbishop has made us, through his wise counsel, through his guidance, through his mentorship, has made many of us into what we are. Archbishop has been a friend to the poor, to the sick, to the elderly. He preached, and his message reached almost everybody who needed support. He was preaching good Samaritanism. He always urged us, his Christians, to try to help those who need help, those who are poor, those who are rich. Was always encouraging us to share. This Archbishop loved his country, loved his church. Whenever I think about his legacy, two things come to my mind, Right Honorable Speaker. One, he is a man who loved his church, and was a very firm defender of the Catholic Church doctrine, but he believed in ecumenism. He believed in interreligious harmony, and he really lived it. And this is the gentleman who really respected all faith. He respected all religions. You would find him interacting with Muslims, interacting with other faith with a lot of respect. We thank God who has blessed this country, who blessed this country with a gift of a very brilliant man of God in the name of Dr. Cyprian Kizito. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you very much,
submit.
Honorable Bahati. Then Honorable was there. No, Wanzala. Actually, that Yandala. Yandala Sengo. Oh, Ocho? Yes, I've seen it. Yes. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I stand up here to second the motion. On behalf of the people of Kitgum Municipality, I bring my condolences to the family of the late Archbishop, His Grace Dr. Rwanga, and the Christian community. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you too for enabling us today in the People's Parliament to talk about this son of the soil, whom we all fondly remember. Madam Speaker, the late Archbishop, His Grace Dr. Cyprian Rwanga, is one of the few that God has sent probably to live as an example for us. One, it has all been said, he's a shepherd who looked after his sheep holistically, spiritually, and physically. He's remembered for his spiritual inspiration. He's remembered for trying to make the welfare of his sheep. And this one has made us feel proud. He understands those he led in totality. I want to thank His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda, for according such a great son of the soil a befitting send-off. The fact is that, colleagues, we are here on a journey. We are not permanent. Every day we are walking towards the journey God has ordained. The time we do not know. We are here with a family, with a community who are so close. We are here to give hope, not to break them further, because we are believers. As Christians, we do believe nothing happens without God's ordained time. The time was that. Let's respect that. It also, Madam Speaker, brings me to remember when we were celebrating the Uganda Matters Day 2 years ago, and I happened to be one of those who read the reading in Uganda. And after that, he called and asks, how comes you know Uganda more than the original Ugandans here? I said, I'm one of them, and I'm a Ugandan. But that simplicity touched me because he could even go into details and even reach out to everybody. I'm so fond of that day. It made me feel good and proud. And today, I'm happy to talk in this parliament to say this is a testimony of a good shepherd of the Christian. But lastly, Madam Speaker and colleagues, when such an event happens, we talk, but we forget something. What does it teach us, you and me? That the time we do not know. We do not know the hour. How ready are we? You and me, how ready are we? You and me, how many will be able to be fondly remembered as the late Archbishop? Can we work towards making the world a better place, a memorable place when we live? Can we work towards, as Christians, as believers, to know that you need to leave a positive footstep so that the world remembers you? May his soul rest eternal peace. Thank you, Honorable Bahati. Bahati, then Honorable Wanzala, Achon, Yandara, Kibaria, Sengo, Abala, then I come to it. I've seen.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I rise to support the motion moved by the Prime Minister in paying tribute to our dear Archbishop Gwanga. I want, on behalf of the people of Ndogwa West, on behalf of my family and the people of Kabale, send our condolences to the family, to the diocese of, to the archdeacon, to the entire Catholic community in Uganda on the passing of our dear Archbishop Gwanga. There are so many ways that we can remember Archbishop Gwanga, and one of them that I remember vividly is that Archbishop promoted a ecumenical approach to evangelism. He believed in peace, harmony, reconciliation, and promoted development activities, education, and as the Prime Minister said, the circle that he had started, which helped a number of people. He was one of the towering spiritual figures of our time, whose service and leadership earned him a title of God's ambassador and touched countless hearts and minds. I have worked with him closely when we were organizing the National Day of Prayer, normally in December, and I've seen how he works, how he leads people, and truly I was touched, and all of us were saddened by his death at a very early age. When we moved the anti-homosexuality bill in 2009, Madam Speaker, you recall, we interacted with the Interreligious Council where he was a member. And in that meeting, one of the meetings I attended to explain to the religious leaders, you know, they have so many versions and so many ideas. Some people were saying we should maybe approach them by caring for them, loving them, educating them, rather than moving the law. But in one of those meetings, Archbishop Gwanga vividly asked his colleagues, religious leaders, he said, but what does the Bible say about that issue? And from that meeting, we were able to ignite unity around this issue. All the religious leaders spoke with one voice against homosexuality and the promotion of homosexuality in this country. So we want to thank him. We want to thank the Catholic Church that has looked after him. We want to thank you for standing with his family in these difficult days. And Madam Speaker, we thank you for allowing us this opportunity to pay tribute to the God servant who served this country for a long time and who earns this tribute that we are paying him. May God bless his soul. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Wanzala. Could the members of name move nearer to the podium so we don't take time? Achon, Honorable Biandara, Kibaria, Sengo, Let's start with those. Babadiri, I've seen you. I'm going to call you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I stand also to second the motion raised by the Right Honorable Prime Minister to pay tribute to Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga, the former Archbishop of Kampala Archdiocese. Madam Speaker, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga will be remembered for his spiritual development, will be remembered for his missionary work, will be remembered for his infrastructure development. Madam Speaker, I heard very clearly the Prime Minister mentioning that Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga was the pioneer bishop for Luwero Kasana Diocese. Madam Speaker, when we talk about Kasana Luwero Diocese, you mean Luwero Political District, you mean Nakasongola District, you mean Nakaseke District. So he was our pioneer bishop of Kasana Luwero Diocese. Madam Speaker, the people of Luwero, Nakasongola, and Nakaseke will remember Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga for enlarging the cathedral of Kasana Luwero Diocese headquarters, which was not enough for Christians by that time. Madam Speaker, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga will also be remembered for constructing the perimeter wall around the diocese. Madam Speaker, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga will be remembered for constructing the multipurpose hall or the multipurpose building, which is helping the diocese to raise funds to run the diocese. Madam Speaker, Dr. Lwanga had unfinished business with Kasana Luwero Diocese. When I was interacting with the Reverend Fathers and the Bishop of Kasana Luwero, Bishop Semogerere, he had a plan of constructing a flyover near the church to avoid the accidents which always occur on Kampala Guru Highway Road. He had that plan, and of course, UNRWA didn't take it. But of course, I want to appeal to Parliament of Uganda and UNRWA and Ministry of Works to take his plan ahead and the flyover be constructed. Madam Speaker, also a number of accidents are happening on Guru Highway Road around the places of Wobulenzi, the places of Kasana Luwero, Mijera, Kakoge, and Chankonwa, which I raised some time back to the Ministry of Works. That one has been not attended to.
Only 3 minutes, and there are so many members who want to contribute.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Support the motion to pay the tribute for Archbishop Lwanga. Honorable Madam Speaker and honorable members, we are all aware the Bible tells us there's no time for that. If we would know, some of us, they would still request God to hold them back. I want to say sorry to the family for our late bishop and the Catholic diocese for whatever has happened. And I want to thank the late for the contribution he did for this country. He was among those who rejected the bill for homosexuality not to be accepted. What I will request, Madam Speaker, a move around the world. When extraordinary person dies in this country, we do not have a book to learn the history of that person. I would request such a person like this father, bishop who passed away, I think something must be written so the younger generation should not forget. They would love to do, they would love to be like him. This one thing which I would request. As we are here as a member of parliament, we are aware all of us one time they will pay a tribute to us. But we want to make sure we should do a good job while we're still alive in this world. And you must have a good record. And you must have a book written for your life, not only to be on the internet. This is one thing which I would appeal for our country, Madam Speaker. I pray may his soul rise in peace. Thank you.
Vyandala. Vyandala Kibaria Sengo.
All right, Honorable Speaker, dear colleagues, I stand here to pay tribute to the late Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga. We must all appreciate what this gentleman did for this country. This man was developmental. For us, where he started as a bishop, there are landmarks in churches, schools, hospitals. You say what? They are there for everybody to see. This gentleman, the Archbishop Lwanga, learned what these priests should do. Don't just come to preach, oh, Jesus at Capernaum, what? No! People want also social service. That's why he was involved in the wicked. That's why he was involved in so many things to bring up the people. So we really thank the late Cyprian Kizito Lwanga. I like him because he was a man who told the people what they were supposed to hear. He's not among those who talk people on things what those people want to hear. He was outspoken, on the point, and rightful. What can I remember what I did with the Archbishop? With the Namugongo, when they were looking for money to build it, the church had some land at Entebbe Airport. When I was the Minister of Works and Transport, he approached me, he explained, I saw the sense, and I agreed that their bills should be paid, and they were paid. The second thing I did with the Archbishop, the Northern Bypass Road going to Munyonyo, the designers at passing through the Basilica. When they explained to me, I told these technical people, please, immediately redesign, relocate, and leave that place alone. And it was relocated. So at least I did something on the request of the Archbishop. Madam Speaker, the Archbishop was a wonderful man. When he was working with, as the Prime Minister said, with the late Cardinal Emmanuel Nsubuga, I met him there because I was doing some work with the late Archbishop Emmanuel Nsubuga in engineering. He had a relatively good architect, and I was doing the engineering work. So I pray that those who are in that business of being preachers, nuns and whatnot, please follow and copy what the Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga has done. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you, Honorable Kibaria. Kibaria Sengo. Abala. No, we are coming. We are coming. We are coming like this.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I wish to join the colleagues in paying tribute to the great Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga. Right Honorable Speaker, I thank God that I've lived in a generation where I've seen Dr. Cypriano Kizito Lwanga. Right Honorable Speaker, Dr. Cypriano Kizito Lwanga was a religious leader, but he played the role of changing the lives of Ugandans more than us, the leaders that have that task. Right Honorable Speaker, wherever you go, wherever you hear any journey where Dr. Cypriano Kizito Lwanga passed, somebody will be there to give testimony that my life has changed because of Dr. Cypriano Kizito Lwanga. He's a leader who has changed the people's lives. Our president is somebody who promotes, he says, Chivalo, yes, you are doing this and the other, but what about your home? What about your personal income? Dr. Cypriano Kizito Lwanga realized he was a preacher. He was leading his people, but he had to change their lives. We are told those ones that approached him at that time that he could ask you, how much do you have? So that he adds something on that to make sure your life from there and then changes. That was the great man. Right Honorable Speaker, Dr. Cipriano Chizitorwanga, one time we shared when they told me his background with the Mapera House. And we were wondering whether we could change the name of Mapera House to the name of Cipriano Chizitorwanga. They said it's hard because of some Catholic lines. But Mapera House was purely the brain of Dr. Cipriano Chizitorwanga. The Centenary Bank that we see now, the Centenary Bank, the way we see it now, the only Ugandan bank that we are proud of, our bank that we feel this is our bank, that is the Centenary Bank, the brain we see is Dr. Cipriano Chizitorwanga. Dr. Cipriano Chizitorwanga was born after Namugongo existed, but he came up with a formula, with a model, with what we see in Namugongo now. We were sharing with some parents when Dr. Cipriano Chizitorwanga was being buried. Right, Honorable Speaker, we are told Dr. Cipriano Chizitorwanga had around 400 children that he was paying school fees for as a person. This is the gentleman, this is the doctor, this is the Archbishop that we are talking of now. Right, Honorable Speaker, the Prime Minister is here. Just 1 second, Right, Honorable Speaker, since as I bring tribute from Busoga Kingdom. Right, Honorable Speaker, since the Prime Minister is here, as we believe and appreciate what we did, we need to do something so that at that time when we shall be talking about Dr. Cipriano Chizitorwanga, our children see something to know that when you do something very unique and different, the country can remember you in this formula, Ugandans can remember you in this. But when we see ladies crying with that association of Wekembe, because they don't see the future now, we are sharing with those ladies, they are wondering the next step because of what Dr. Cipriano Chizitorwanga did. So as government, we need to do something in recognition of his great efforts to help us as leaders build this country, do what we had failed to do as leaders, so that the generation to come can also live to testify that a great man lived once at a time when Dr. Right Honorable Wakana Lugunda was the Prime Minister of this country. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sengo. Honorable members, I think as I call Honorable Sengo, let me also add some more testimony from Busoga. Right Honorable Prime Minister, one day I had gone to Bukungu, our landing site, and they talked to me about the need for water, need for roads, need for that. Then finally they said, Madam, next time you come, we shall be dead. I said, what do you mean we shall be dead? Said, we are going to kill each other. Why? Why are you going to kill each other? Said, each of these houses you see at the landing site has got money. Every day we sell things, we have no bank. That's why we are saying we are going to kill one another. So I got concerned. I wrote the Minister of Finance. I said, we need a bank in the extreme north of Busoga, because Wiyende, Kamuli, Ruka, there were no banks. I wrote all these important banks in Uganda. Please establish a branch in the extreme north. No one was interested. But when I talked to Dr. Cipriano Chizitorwanga and told him my problem, he said, leave it to me. That's how Centenary Bank went to Kamuli. So for me, that's why when Honorable Kingi says our relationship, I held him in very, very high regard for solving a problem of our people. Thank you.
I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I join my colleagues in paying condolences to our fallen great spiritual father. Madam Speaker, I came to know the late Archbishop way back in the 70s when I was still a resident of Najana Nkumbi. At that time, when the late Archbishop was still a priest, a young priest, was assigned to start a South parish and later on a parish of Undeba. We started off just a few people in a papyrus church, and the late Archbishop was assigned to develop that place. Madam Speaker, the Archbishop was a wizard at development. He was very, very developmental. Because after a few years, he was able to construct a church for us. And by now, Ndeba is one of the biggest parishes in this archdiocese. Madam Speaker, I think all Ugandans should borrow a leaf from the Archbishop. This is a man who welcomed everybody regardless of his religion. This is a man who loved peace. This is a man who always said the truth. Indeed, Uganda has lost a great leader. Uganda has lost a great church leader of the Catholic Church. Every time I met him, he would refer to me as his parishioner of Ndeba. I always wonder that his very, very good memory. He would never forget a person. That was our Archbishop. Madam Speaker, have a feeling that this country has a number of problems. And I also believe that we don't die. Even when we die, we remain alive wherever we go. I'm sure the late Archbishop is aware of all the problems we are facing in Uganda. And I hope and I'm convinced that we pray for this country so that we overcome all these problems. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Babala, Babadiri, Tayobwa, don't come. Move Honorable Babadiri a bit closer.
Madam Speaker, first of all, I want to thank God that He made our late bishop to be born here in Uganda. If he had decided for him to be born elsewhere, we would not be talking about him now and would not be celebrating his life now. But because God made him in his own image and made him to be in here in Uganda, that's why I want to thank God. I also want to thank government for the support they accorded for the burial of late bishop, Archbishop. Then I also want to thank the Speaker and the Parliament for allowing this motion to be moved today. Madam Speaker, the problem of death. First of all, death has no formula. It has no home. It has no sub-county. It has no country. So what we must only do is only to thank God when we are still alive. We should not forget that for us, anytime we can die. But before you die, let's do a good job like the late Archbishop actually has done a wonderful job as you have heard. Madam Speaker, let me just read some, since he was an Archbishop, allow me to read two verses from the Bible. He was a bishop and he preached. By the way, he was a man who was a preacher of the word of God. And this goes to all of us and all of us who are mourning. Revelation chapter 21 verse 4 says, He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and then shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain anymore. For the former things are passed away. That's according to the Bible. You know, he did a good job, and now, for example, for us we are mourning. But all this mourning is going to end. It is going to end. I want to tell everybody, it will end, and it will end. And in the first Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 14 says, For since we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so, through Jesus, God will bring with him those who are fallen asleep. What I'm sure our Archbishop actually has fallen asleep. So for him, when the Christ is going to resurrect, he will also resurrect with the Christ. So one thing I want to appeal to all of us, let us work very, very hard as Christians. Let's be an example, like he was an example to everybody. For him, he was a man who, he was not selective. He was a man who loved everyone. And for me, by the way, I'm among those few people who do not understand language in Uganda properly. But every time when I was preaching, I got interested in understanding the language called Uganda because I did know. So that's why I could actually ask, what does he say? Because for me, at least, he was a man. Madam Speaker, just 1 minute. Just 1 minute to sum up. Madam Speaker, I want to say he was a bishop, Archbishop He was a great preacher. He was a man who was pro-development. He was a man who wanted to protect the rights of everybody in this country. He was a man who preached about love, about forgiveness, against corruption, against social ills. He supported the development of this country. That's why, for me, my opinion, the minister earlier on said, that if he has met all the criteria to be never the matter, I would not oppose it. I would say, okay, police is among those who qualifies. If he has met all the requirements. Number two, Madam Speaker, like my brother Chibalia said, now that he has done it, he did a good job and is an example now in this country. I would appeal to government now that the Prime Minister is here. I am happy he's the one who got this motion here. That Prime Minister and government, you put there a very powerful hospital in memory of this powerful man who served Uganda with one heart. A man free of corruption, free of segregation, free of religious problems. He was a man who really knew that we must serve Christ and serve God and be in heaven. May God raise his soul in the eternal peace. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Badiri. From Iowa, then I come to the team here. A call. Gonzaga, Mijuka. Okay, I've seen you. I've seen you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Madam Speaker, on behalf of people of Koboko and on my own behalf, I would like to pay my sincere condolences to the family of Grace Cyprian Kizito Luanga and the Christians of Uganda, especially the Catholics and Uganda at large, because we have lost a very great man. Madam Speaker, His Grace Kizito Luanga was a dedicated servant of God. He devoted his whole life to the people of Uganda to ensure that they develop both spiritually, mentally, and bodily. Madam Speaker, spiritually, His Grace ensured that if you are a Christian, Catholic Christian, you must be practical, not only going to pray, but just not having sacraments, you must follow and ensure that you go to heaven, not just to show that you are a Christian. That's one good quality I've seen him in his preaching. Then mentally, he ensured that children are all educated and he started schools in all parts, not only in his area, but other parts of Uganda. Broadly, he ensured that people are economically and socially healthy and had money. So that is what he did. He believed that a Christian must be somebody who is holily developed. Madam Speaker, His Grace was a true leader. He was born as a leader. Right from his family, he exhibited the signs of leadership in his school life, and even when he became a priest, he just served shortly and he was appointed as a parish priest. From parish priest to bishop, from bishop to archbishop. And even if he had lived longer, he could even become a cardinal. But unfortunately, he is short-lived. Madam Speaker, let us think about the death of His Grace. He's young, 66 is a young age. He could still do more work. But he died on Good Friday. He died together with Jesus. I understand on Thursday, he collected all his priests around him. They had the supper together, just like the one of Jesus, the Last Supper. Then on Saturday, he died. Saturday night, he died. I'm sure he died together with Jesus and they rose together with Jesus. He will be together. He's now there with Jesus. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Then Honorable Call, Savagara, Mijuke Gonzaga. I'm coming this side now.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to thank the Right Honorable Prime Minister for moving this motion and for you, Right Honorable Speaker, for getting space on the order paper. Right Honorable Speaker,
I happened to work with His Grace when we were organizing SECAM, when we hosted over 400 cardinals, bishops, archbishops here in 2019. And I was appointed the National Secretary for Finance. I was the chief fundraiser. And we moved around, started raising funds together to have a very successful SECAM. I remember when we were stuck somehow, we tapped into his friendship with you, Right Honorable Speaker, because we did not have vehicles. We had a budget of over 700 million for hiring vehicles. And he said, just go to my friend Rebecca. And when we came, you signed for us. And we used the brand new vehicles, which were meant for CPA conference, which we had just brought. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm very, very sure even wherever he is, he's still thanking you and Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, in the same moment, when we were stuck, he said, no, my friend, the president, will always be there for the Catholic community. And he managed to link us, and the president gave us 4 billion, which we used to host a very successful function. But in all that, he told us 2 things. One, that in whatever we are doing when we are talking about spiritual welfare of the nation, we should also talk about economic welfare of the nation. And he was preaching it, he was living it, and he was helping many people to get into the money economy, not only the spiritual economy, but also the money economy. Right Honorable Speaker, another thing which we have to look into deeply as leaders in this country, which His Grace was always talking about, is the issue of pro-life, protecting the lives of the unborn children. We have thousands of abortions on demand sponsored in this country every day. The church has cried out. Now there is what they call abortion on demand. Someone wants to go to a club, they abort, they go to a club, they will go and look for another child. Right Honorable Speaker, as leaders in this country, we have to look into that issue deeply. If we want the church to be our partner in fighting for economic liberation of the country, we must work with it to fight for moral liberation of the country. May the soul of His Grace rest in eternal peace. Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Call. Also, Bagara, Gonzaga Mujuke. I've seen you. You can sit, I've seen you.
Madam Speaker, allow me to thank the government, the Prime Minister, and your office to give us this opportunity to talk about a man who understood his purpose for creation. Because the problem we have in this world is that sometimes we fail to know the purpose why we are created. So he left us with very important wealth, spiritual wealth, and community wealth we are talking about. And that is key and very important for this country. But also when we are talking here, it is important to think now as we are praising Doctor for what he has done in this world. That he left us with a will. And the will he left on Friday, on a Good Friday, is that we should do justice to Ugandans, political prisoners. What is government going to do on the will that he has left behind? He left a very serious will that we have to think about, and we have to do it in favor to remember him. And I would say that we should use this opportunity to demand from government to release the political prisoners who are in prison now, those who are abducted during this period. We are just piece of meat walking around with blood flowing on it. And I think we should think about each other. We are born in the same way, and that is a kind of preaching that the bishop was leaving us with. And I think, for me, I would want everybody to think, who will cry when you die? We are crying because of the community wealth that he left in the world. He touched the life of people. He did not think about touching his own life. He did not build wealth for himself. People will not remember you for the money you left in the bank. They will not remember you for the houses you have built, but they will remember you, the life you have touched in the community.
And that is the most important thing that we should take in the life of bishop. As a Catholic, I demand and I request for government to fulfill the will of the bishop, the archbishop. Thank you very much. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you, Honorable Bagara. Then, Gonzaga, Mwijuke, Nambeshe, Ushabe, Achi, I've seen you, Ocho. The ladies from Akeka, I've seen all of you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speakers. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the Muslim Parliamentary Caucus, allow me also to add my voice and support the motion. Madam Speaker, the late Archbishop was a religious leader who united all of us, regardless of our religious affiliations, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the late Archbishop was a human rights defender. And indeed, if we are to honor him, we must also ensure that we defend human rights, especially of those who are oppressed. Madam Speaker, I remember very vividly when we are around, I think, by the end of last year, when the Archbishop, the late Archbishop, came out to request the government to suspend the election because of there was too much human rights violation. And also, in the interest of protecting Ugandans, maybe because of COVID, he requested that no, we should suspend the elections so that we could really protect all Ugandans. He was not in politics, but he wanted every Ugandan to be safe and free. That's why he requested that we postpone the elections. No, there are not many religious leaders who come out boldly to tell the government what's supposed to be done. Madam Speaker, I know in some of his last sermons, he was talking about defending all Ugandans in as far as human rights are concerned. He has been appealing to government that please, if there is any excesses by the security operatives in as far as handling Ugandans is concerned or arresting Ugandans, they should change for the better. Madam Speaker, we have lost a person who has been a unifying factor in as far as our country is concerned. May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you, Honorable Gonzaga. So, then Nambeshe. Then Oshabe, Omakechi, Lucy. I think I saw a room somewhere there. Makmot, I've seen you. I've seen you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
It's just at the back there. No, he's a tall man and sitting at the back.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also join other members in support of the motion. And above all, I thank you so much for according us this time to respect the Archbishop. And also, I want to send condolences to you because we are going to be one of those, we are going to attend Easter with him. And unfortunately, they were prepared for you with the cathedral administrator, but you did not make it because the way God brought this. Honorable Speaker, some of us, when you see us putting on these rosaries, we want to imitate these archbishops and bishops. That's why I put on my clothes as they normally put on. Since I feel the other side, I try in this kind of behavior. Secondly, I'm one of the members of parliament, very few, who have been moving the Archbishop on every Good Friday for the public way of the cross. And I've carried out this since 1994 when I came to Kampala, moving with him from Rubaga. And indeed, right, Honorable Speaker, I only missed, I never communicated with somebody to tell him whether there was a public way of the cross at the Namirembe. I would have been with the Archbishop. Even then, right, Honorable Speaker, he has also been our patron at the Popopo Social Club, where I spend my evening to see spend some of my income for some enjoyment. And this alone, Honorable Speaker, made me a very close friend of the Archbishop. We Catholics, we have a word we use in Latin. We say Roma locuta causa finita.
What the Pope has said, you cannot object. But the Pope has never said that you, Archbishop, died. But once he brought him to Kampala, not many of us knew him. But when he began his work, we worked with him and we did. And one time I was the teacher of one of the Catholic schools after Shimoni was demolished. The Archbishop gave me a job in Machingi. Honorable Speaker, I want to put this on record, members. In Uganda and any other culture, there's no way you go to attend a funeral and you go there for only a tour. It was unfortunate, Honorable Speaker, that the spokesperson of government, Mr. Ofono Pondo, on a public television said, I'm not a Christian, I don't worship, but I went to Rubaga for a tour. This one was painful, but well knowing the acts and behaviors of this gentleman, I never wondered. However, such utterances are not welcome. Madam Speaker, the Archbishop built more development in children. Madam Speaker, in Uganda, we have associations which build children, that's number Prime Minister. One, the Uganda Scouts, which is already dead in your regime. The Girl Guides is not functioning in your regime. They are not working. But the Archbishop started the Banachizito. And this one has spread in a number of schools where they are building children to grow morally, so that they resemble, they imitate that saint who was killed young and is a martyr. As I conclude, now, Speaker, let me pray, right of Prime Minister, this country needs a council of elders. Can you sit down as a government, if you feel you are serious, and build what we call a council of elders? Right, Honorable Speaker, the Archbishop raised a number of complaints about security, to the extent of saying that one time his priest had a guard. These priests are also human beings. Don't think they don't make mistakes. Actually, they are given 7 sins per day, according to our belief. But when they come out to utter what they feel is wrong, then new government start also attacking them and threatening them, intimidating them, and spying on them. Once you put up a council of elders in this country, it can help the long-serving president who thinks he cannot leave this government to solve some of these problems that they are bringing so that this country can move forward. Honorable Speaker, I pray that honorable members, Madam Speaker, we are given each a copy in their pigeonholes by the Episcopal Council on different issues that were related to elections of 2021 in December. And every member got a copy before elections were carried out. Please, honorable members, go and read what the bishops wrote about elections that took place and internalize them, so that when you come back here, we act for the country in a sober mind. Right now, Speaker, thank you for according me this time. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
Unamujuke, followed by Nambeshe.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I stand here to pay tribute to the great Archbishop. Right Honorable Speaker, as we debate, I know many of the religious leaders are watching us, they are listening, and this is a very great lesson to them. We are saying he was a great Archbishop because of being open. He feared nothing. You, the pastors, watching us, the bishops, the reverend fathers, the reverends, the catechists, the laity, come up and advocate for good governance and rule of law. Expose the dictators, the corrupt, the robbers, the land grabbers, the abusers of human rights, the murderers. Come up. It is the reason why we are paying tribute. Sometimes I ask myself, if he had not died, what would have been government's response to his statements on Friday? Because when you die, the statements change. They'll come and say he spoke the truth. I am sure the spokesperson we have just talked about here would have been saying what is his business in arrests of Ugandans.
but because he went, everybody is saying he was a good man. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, the Prime Minister has defended the motion, justified it, and I'm very happy that the government has come up with this. But I expected him to say now, because of this good Archbishop, we are going to deal with the issues he was raising in respect to the arbitrary killings and arrests. But he still has an opportunity. I am sure before he goes, he will speak to the statement of the Archbishop. Otherwise, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to come here and praise the Archbishop, yet he left two issues. Release those we are not taking to court. Where are they? If we can't speak about that, Right Honorable Prime Minister, we are just deceiving the nation. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nambeshe, Oshabe, Komakech, Lucy Akelo. I get the middle. Huh? Yes, that's why I've seen her back there.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me join colleagues to pay glowing tribute to the fallen Archbishop, Dr. Cyprian Luanga. Madam Speaker, I kept watching on that day when the Archbishop was being afforded a deserved send-off. And then it was akin to the previous week when they were burying or mourning the fallen gallant son of the People's Republic of Tanzania. And what flooded my mind, Madam Speaker, is that the success of a man or a woman in this world is not in the much wealth you amass around you, is not in how long you cling to power, or even remove those limits that could have actually limited you. But it is in the how long you remain in the memories of the people that you serve. And I saw the mourners indeed were mourning because of how he had touched their hearts and minds, because of the dedicated service with passion. Madam Speaker, Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Luanga is only second to the Archbishop, the late Archbishop Janan Lumu. All the social ills and gross human rights violations that Lumu condemned are happening today. And he's the only cleric that came out to speak truth to power. Madam Speaker, even before he passed away, he had almost fervently asked the government to release the political prisoners. And now, on that note, therefore, now that the Right Honorable Prime Minister who moved the motion is here, he has set a mark that we ought to emulate. And the best tribute that you could pay to the fallen Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Luanga is to unconditionally release these political prisoners. Madam Speaker, I realized that the president, when he was actually eulogizing the fallen cleric, he mentioned the contribution, enormous contribution that he had. Just say.
Please conclude.
Huh?
Please conclude.
I'm concluding. The contribution that he had made purportedly when they were still in the bush in Luwero. And I liked the way he was lionizing the Archbishop Dr. Cyprian Luanga. And I wondered why this could not have been done like it is always done when someone is still alive. I've seen so many medals being given to gallant sons of this country, but that we wait for them to pass away and then we lionize them does not augur well with some people who are so God-fearing like myself. With these few remarks, may his soul rest in eternal peace.
No, Oshabe, Komakech, Honorable Akelo, I've got you on my list, don't worry. You've just arrived.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you so much for allowing time for this motion. I will begin by thanking the Prime Minister, Ndugu Rugunda, for within your motion, you properly described the man, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga, as a man who respected the rule of law, a man who desired constitutionalism, and a man who had a high respect for human rights, freedoms, peace, and justice. Thank you, because you really described him well, because those are some of the values Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga stood for. Right Honorable Speaker, at a time when we experienced threats for crushing NUP supporters during elections, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga's voice was heard speaking to authority. At a time when we experienced kidnaps, murders by the state, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga's voice was heard on the pulpit. Right Honorable Speaker, at the time when some ministers asked him to leave politics and concentrate on religious matters, he never relented. He kept on preaching peace. He kept on preaching justice. In fact, many honorable members have reminded us that on the day he celebrated the way of the cross mass, he spoke for justice. He desired that all people, that Right Honorable Prime Minister, you arrested, your government arrested, your state agencies arrested during politics should be released. And there is no more gift you can give to him. There is no more gift you can give to the people of Uganda if you do what he desired. Right Honorable Speaker, we will miss the Archbishop so much. We will miss a freedom fighter. We will miss a religious leader who never missed his words whenever he's speaking for the people, using the position he has. Many people, Right Honorable Speaker, choose to hide, to bury their heads in the sand when injustices are going on in our country. Every one of us deserves a better Uganda, and that's what the Archbishop really stood for. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you, Honorable Komakech. Lucy Akelo, Santa Room, Makmot, Basaliro, Aivu, Ndude, Kudatat.
Madam Speaker, on behalf of the people of Gulu City, I also join in to support the motion that has been moved by the Prime Minister, Comrade Ndugu Rugunda. In Latin, it said, in omnia paratus, always be ready for anything. Archbishop Lwanga, born from the Mamba clan, and as you're aware that the Mamba clan is the largest clan in Buganda Kingdom. And the Baganda were very wise to create actually totems because clans protected the environment. If you belong to the Mamba clan, that meant you would not eat that fish called Mamba. Otherwise, the Mamba clan would finish the Mamba in Lake Victoria. Madam Speaker, Archbishop Lwanga stood and fulfilled what we call the apostolic succession, right from being a laity to a priest to bishop, to archbishop. He was going on, but he fulfilled them. If you look at the virtues in the cardinal canon law, the first section is about theological virtues. He fulfilled the issues regarding faith as a leader in the church. He fulfilled the issues of hope. He gave hope to those who are hopeless. He stood for charity, about love, as Archbishop. And then the second bracket of virtues, that is all about the cardinal virtues. He fulfilled them on the issues of prudence, regarding wisdom, as a Catholic prelate. He looked at fortitude, about courage. He was courageous. We have talked about issues raised to the government of Uganda that you may need to fulfill in your reply at the end of this. About temperance, he did it. That's about self-control. He taught citizens, young children, all of us. When we were being given orientation when we came in this 10th parliament, he met us in Pope Paul and he said, first thing I need you to do is struggle and use Christian lenses in your legislation in parliament. That is what we do here. So,
please conclude.
Madam Speaker, our legislation here, we have learned from him that if you look at certain virtues and you use those as lenses to do legislation, the law will always be respected. I stand firm to bear witness that he was one of the greatest pro-life advocate. That is why I wear this badge about pro-life. This is about standing for the life of those that are unborn and those to be born. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you.
In nomine Patri et Filii dos Santos.
Thank you, Honorable Lucy. Then Honorable Alum.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Allow me also add my voice in thanking the Prime Minister for bringing this motion to pay tribute to our father. Madam Speaker, allow me also to thank you for finding space to allow us members of Parliament, on behalf of the people that we represent, to pay tribute to this great man. Madam Speaker, as I was walking here, I had Honorable Centenary calling me Nava Cristo. But the Archbishop never called me Nava Cristo. He always called me Saba Cristo. And that is how it is. Madam Speaker, a lot can be said about the Archbishop. Personally, I knew the Archbishop way back when I was working with the Justice and Peace Commission, Archdiocese of Gulu. I was the executive secretary, and oftentimes we would meet to discuss issues of development, because at that time he was the president of Caritas Uganda, and at one time he was also the president Caritas Africa. And I am not surprised with the developments that came with that position that he held. And for me, this raised a big question. How many of us in this Uganda, when given an opportunity to hold big offices, will actually use it for the common man and woman? The Archbishop did exactly that. How many of us, if given an opportunity, would sacrifice their salary to ensure that we empower women? The Archbishop did just that. And the information I wanted to give at one point to Honorable Morris about Centenary Bank, the Mapera building. The story I had about the Mapera building is that it was built on zero loan and it was purely on savings. What lessons can we learn as a country? Can we survive without some of these big loans? Another thing, Madam Speaker, is that everyone has spoken very well about the late Archbishop.
Okay, Sarah Christo, 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I will now summarize. One thing that also touched my heart, Madam Speaker, then I will conclude, is that the Archbishop, even amidst his busy schedule, he would find time every Easter season, every Boxing Day, to visit and spend time with his family. This is a challenge to all of us. How many of us can do this? Finally, Madam Speaker, everything that has been said is summarized in Matthew chapter 25. And this is for all of us here. Chapter 25, start from verse 34. But what I want to conclude with is in verse 40, which states that whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers and my sisters, you do unto me. Whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers, thou you do unto me. When I was hungry, you gave me to eat. When I was thirsty, you gave me to drink. Now enter into the house of my Father. May you rest in peace, our Papa. Rest in peace, Archbishop. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honour Santa? Santa, Makmot, Atiku. I'm coming. I'm coming for the final round. I've got you. I've seen it.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. On behalf of the people of Oyam District and my own behalf, I want to thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to participate in paying tribute to His Grace, the late Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga. Madam Speaker, the sudden death of His Grace, Dr. Kizito Lwanga, triggered a flood of tears and emotion among its members of his family, the Christian community, and the country at large. Madam Speaker, this was so because he was a man of multitude praises by his peers, very faithful, brilliant, decisive, and a pleasant individual who was down to earth. Madam Speaker, my first job after the university was at the National Seminary, Gaba, where I had the privilege of interacting with the bishops. And Madam Speaker, as just like any human being, His Grace had his happy moments, and whenever he was excited, he would do so. And he had a great sense of humor and very friendly even to us, the staff who worked at the National Seminary, Gaba. Madam Speaker, as a bishop, His Grace, the late Archbishop, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga, left a mark on the social, political, economic aspect of the life of people in this country. Madam Speaker, as his life was characterized by love, peace, unity, and economic empowerment, to most especially the women and the children. Madam Speaker, as mentioned by my colleague, the late Archbishop started a project for the children called the Bana Bakazitu. Madam Speaker, this shows that he has a real lenses to look into the future of this country as relying on the children. How best can we remember him by emulating this very important foresight? Madam Speaker, we have been told that the late worked so hard, Madam Speaker, to improve the life of the voiceless and the poor. And Madam Speaker, I would like to urge the Prime Minister, who is the mover of this motion, that really, as the Archbishop spoke about the human rights abuses, as he spoke and he worked so hard about the plight of the poor people, how best are we going to remember him to make sure that the injustices that we see in this country these days does not increase? How best are we going to remember him, Madam Speaker, to make sure that we remove our people from poverty, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, as a great shepherd, I pray that may his legacy remain longer and forever, and may the Almighty God grant the great shepherd eternal rest. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Sarira. Then Mahmoud.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I join colleagues in mourning the demise of the Archbishop, and I want to appreciate the Right Honorable Prime Minister for the motion to mourn the Archbishop. Right Honorable Speaker, I must confess that I was not so close to the Archbishop before 2019. But after the events in Arua, when Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu and Honorable Francis Zake were brutalized, they were admitted in Rubaga Hospital, and I was responsible for clearing people who were going to visit them. So I received a call from the wife of Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi that the Archbishop was scheduled to visit Bobby Wine and Zake in Rubaga. So I went to Rubaga and I welcomed the Archbishop to the hospital and into their rooms. And while there, he looked at them and prayed for them. He had carried two very big envelopes, and he gave one to the Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi and another to the Honorable Francis Zake. After the prayers, I asked the Archbishop whether I could take a photo with him. And he did accept it, and I took a photo with him that I have made my profile picture on my WhatsApp up to now, in memory of that bishop. But as he was leaving, Right Honorable Speaker, he did make a statement to the effect that whenever there was an opportunity for us, one, to forgive those who had tormented us in Arua, we should forgive. Then two, he said, if you have an opportunity to speak and engage in peaceful activities, we should do. I knew him as a man of peace, as a man who loved to engage, and as a man who spoke truth to power. Right Honorable Speaker, as we mourn the demise of the late Archbishop, we will ask a difficult question. Who is going to speak truth to power the way Archbishop Kizito Lwanga has been doing? May his soul rest in peace.
Thank you, Honorable Mahmoud. Mahmoud Atiku. Then I take the last three on this side. Ajat Saida.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. The Right Honorable Speaker, on behalf of the people of Agago County and on my own behalf, I rise to support the motion by the Right Honorable Prime Minister paying tribute to our fallen hero, the Archbishop of the Catholic Church. The Right Honorable Speaker, when the news of the passing away of the Archbishop came, I was in Agago, I was in the constituency, and I stayed in for about a week, and I watched the effect on that side of the country. People, I must say that this was a big shock to the Catholic, greatly Catholic community in Agago, and I think it was a very unifying thing altogether at the end of the day. Madam Speaker, I think the character of the Archbishop is a true hallmark of what we have always known as the Catholic principles. He spoke the truth. He was a true friend. He's a person who was very friendly also to government at the same time. But he also was very honest with government. And I think that is what a true friend should be. I think he was able to speak out in times of difficulty. And it reminds me about what one of the greatest prime ministers who is respected for civil rights liberties, what he said. He said, that is Prime Minister Trudeau, he said that the hallmark, the test of a developed nation is not necessarily the skyscrapers, but how the country treats its lowest member of the society. And I think the Archbishop actually was a living example of that by what he has done and which many people have talked about. He was very humble, and I think he did not shame the prophet. I mean, he was very highly educated, a doctor, and many times we think doctors over follow the line and all that. People were highly educated, but I think he defied the odds, and we miss him at this time when credibility of leadership in many churches is an issue. Many times, when I grew up, a church leader was of a certain nature, Christ-like in many ways. And I think we really miss him because I think he had those attributes that brought a lot of respect to the church. And for me, it restored my faith. So that legacy is great, and farewell thee, and we pray for his soul to rest in peace. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Atiku Ogwal. Honorable Opendi. Taka. Dr. Muriko, I think you'll come last.
Thank you.
Hajat Saida.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I stand here.
Nyendoha, that Nyendoha. Ahmed on the other side. Okay, Rakojo. Anyway, what good? He was a great man. Let's give him time.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I join colleagues in supporting the motion moved by the Right Honorable Prime Minister to pay tribute to a gallant son of Uganda and the shepherd of God, for God's people. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the people of Ayivu County and Arua Diocese, we condole with the family and the Catholic fraternity. Madam Speaker, as colleagues have said, people like the late Dr. Cyprian Lwanga should not have died in a manner in which they died, or he died. Because this is a soul from which a lot more are still expected at a time when the country is crying for leadership, for unity. Madam Speaker, we must all agree that as a country, we are at crossroads. And in moments like this, we need people like the late Dr. Cyprian to bring leaders together and preach peace and unity. Madam Speaker, the late will be remembered for many more developments initiated within the shortest period in which he offered leadership. Of course, some of them have been mentioned, the towering Mapera House, for which many Catholics are proud, and also designing the skyline of Kampala, the capital city. Madam Speaker, one of the projects in which we've been participating, which the late initiated with other archbishops, the Catholic television project. That is now at testing stage, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, The late spoke the truth, and we expect government to, as one of the ways, practical ways of saying that indeed, Madam Speaker, a minute, that we respect the late, is to heed to some of the issues that he pointed to government before he breathed his last. And one of those was the issue of dialogue, the issue of releasing political prisoners, and, Madam Speaker, to hold those accountable for the loss of lives in the last general election. Madam Speaker, Right Honorable Prime Minister, I believe these are things that can hold Uganda together. The issues that have happened in this country are not beyond us. So I expect Right Honorable Prime Minister Ndugu Ruhakana to lead in establishing dialogue amidst this situation of uncertainty in our country. I thank you. May your soul rest in eternal peace, Doctor. Thank you.
Now, over the centenary, then I take the last group from the stage.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank the mover of the motion and the seconders, and I stand here to support the motion. And in particular, I want to thank the Prime Minister for summarizing the character of a servanthood leadership in His Grace, the Archbishop. He has summarized it for us very well. He said he was a strong advocate of the rule of law, of constitutionalism, and respect of human rights, freedom, unity, and national cohesion. This is a glorious description of what the man was. And Right Honorable Speaker, I want to say, when I learned that the bishop was very condemnational of Obote regime for Pandagari practices of those days, I was comforted because he was also very, very condemnational of the recent abduction, arrest, and abuse of rights of people. Right Honorable Speaker, all of us subject our leadership to the authority of Christ when we hold the Bible and we swear when we become members of Parliament. And I want to urge the Prime Minister and members of government to listen to the last word of His Grace, the Archbishop. He talked about the respect for rights and justice. It is therefore important that we should take his last word as something we should not ignore. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, I was moved that this is a man of God, but he cared about the plight of the women by setting up a circus for them. He cared about children who otherwise would not be going to school. So I'm urging the Prime Minister, urging the government through you, that if you could spend 300 million for burial expenses, can you at least release 500 million to send the 400 children who ought to have gone to school, but because this grace has passed on, we do not know what would happen to these children. I want to plead with Parliament. I want to plead with you, Right Honorable Prime Minister, to add as one of our prayers that those 400 children you were sending to school can 500 million to allow them to go back to school. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Then Honorable Opendi, Taka, Hajat Saida, Nyendoha, Amede, Rakojo, and then we close with the Honorable Molisi. Oh, there's Musasi. Yes, we come.
Yeah, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker,
for giving me an opportunity to take part in eulogizing the life of the late Dr. Cyprian Luanga. Personally, I have had an opportunity to interact with him closely. I remember after the 2016 attack on the King's Palace in Kasese, many of us were traumatized and were not really sure whether we should celebrate the festivities in Kasese. I briefly went to Kasese, came back to Kampala, and the New Year's Day, 1st of January 2017, I had an opportunity to celebrate it at his residence. We even toasted to a glass of wine. I have those fresh memories of him. He counseled me and my wife. He was such a loving spiritual father. And I know that he stood and appreciated the value of humanity. He respected human rights and stood for them. He believed in equity and social justice. And if really we respect our religious leaders, because for me in my culture, we have grown up to be, we are taught to respect religious leaders, our fathers, our spiritual fathers. And when they spoke on behalf of God. I strongly believe that whatever Dr. Cyprian Luanga advocated for, releasing of the political prisoners, respect for human rights, democracy and good governance, and now that Uganda stands on the value of Christianity, hence our motto, for God and my country. If we really stand to that value, then we should respect Dr. Cyprian Luanga and practice what he preached in his ministry. Right Honorable Prime Minister, in my culture, if you don't listen to the elders, you can get nightmares. So I am not only sounding a warning, but I am pleading with government to respect, especially the last will that has been talked about of the Archbishop on Good Friday is somebody who embraced ecumenism. That is why his last way of the cross, he had his other colleagues from the different denominations. And it was miraculously, I hadn't seen it before.
Opendi Chaka, Ajat Saida, una Nyendoha, una Bamede, Rakoja Musasizi, and then Moliku.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Right Honorable Prime Minister for the motion, and I do support the motion. I bring condolences from the people of Tororo to the entire Catholic family and to his immediate family too. Right Honorable Speaker, His Grace Cyprian Kizito Luanga has left a legacy that needs to be emulated by all the religious leaders. We should get away from teaching or telling people about miracles, but instead tell people to work. Yes. And this is one of the things that he did preach. He taught people how to save, Right Honorable Speaker, and therefore complemented government's efforts in the wealth creation agenda. He was a developmental person, and he spoke, Madam Speaker, quite often against the abuses of human rights. And one of his famous quotes, Madam Speaker, that I want to quote here to Ugandans is that Ugandans should have a duty to promote not division or bad politics, but unity for this country to develop. And he said the future of Ugandans should be a responsibility of all. We therefore need to know that this is our country, Right Honorable Speaker, and therefore we must all contribute to the peace that we so need to have development. Madam Speaker, the history of Centenary Bank
On 4th December, we lost His Grace, Archbishop James Odongo, the Archbishop of Bukedi Archdiocese. And at his Requiem Mass that was at Ruvaga, one of the things that I learned was that His Grace Bishop Odongo was the chairperson of the Episcopal Conference of Uganda. And in 1983, he led a delegation to meet His Excellency then President Obote. And the mission was to ask him to support their program of having this centenary bank. And His Excellency then President Obote, this is what he said: I know you Catholics, when you start something, you cannot fail. Please go ahead and have your bank. And that was His Grace. Madam Speaker.
Conclude.
That was His Grace Archbishop Odongo, and Centenary Bank then in 1983 was started as a credit trust. And of course, later it transitioned in 1993 into a fully fledged bank, and His Grace Archbishop Cyprian Kizito Lwanga contributed towards its growth. Therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, I just wanted to make that clarification, but also to say that he has done a lot. One of the things I know that he also spoke against was indecent dressing. People, when they go to church, sometimes you wonder whether they have gone for prayers or for something else. Can we really respect God by ensuring that we dress decently when we go in the house of the Lord? May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you very much, Honorable Taka. Taka Saida, Nyendoha, you are welcome. Amede, then
Thank you, Right Honorable
and
Speaker.
Dr. Muriku.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to join in paying tribute to our father, the Right Reverend Bishop Cyprian Kizito Lwanga. Right Honorable Speaker and members and government, thank you too for the motion. As Catholics, we are really indebted to you. On 3rd, we woke up to a sad day. Sadly, it is my birthday. I only got the bad news of the demise of our father. Humanly, it was so hurting. But when I reflected on it spiritually, I felt God had taken our father in a very, very peaceful way, that he didn't make him go through any kind of suffering, despair to his death, and I thank God for that. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to start from the point of Honorable Sarah Opendi. The motto of the Archbishop: work hard and pray. Many spiritual leaders are taking our people into prayer for days, waiting for miracles to happen. But here is a spiritual leader who is leading people through the word of God, but telling them to work hard and pray. Whatever you do, put it before God for a blessing. And then work, because nothing is going to come to you when you're just seated. Right Honorable Speaker and members, I want to call upon all religious leaders to emulate our father, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga. Let us join in the struggle to transform our country to improving livelihoods. And I want to request government that in paying tribute in remembrance of Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga, we have set out so many projects, but we have not moved a step. Every time we go out, we still remain one of those poorest countries. Let us settle down and come up with a conclusive program that will take out the multitudes and multitudes of Ugandans
out of poverty. So thank you. So that everyone can have food to their table, can afford medical care, and can have good shelter. As Catholics, we say, may God grant eternal rest to Dr. Cyprian Chistoranga, and let perpetual light shine upon him. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Saida Bomba, followed by Honorable Nyendoha, Abamede, Honorable Rakojo, Honorable Musasizi, and Dr. Mori.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to start off by thanking you for allowing time to realize the great son of this land. I want to thank government for moving this motion. I stand here to support the motion to pay tribute to the late Archbishop Cyprian Kizito Lwanga. And on behalf of the people of Nakaseke, I bring condolences. I'm here to give testimony that His Grace, the late Archbishop Cyprian Lwanga, was an all-round leader. He was a shepherd to all, regardless of creed, religion, tribe, or others. He was developmental. When he was Bishop of Kasanaruwero, he brought a lot of development to Nakaseke. He came in at a time when we were just recovering from the effects of the war. We had shortages of food, people had no income, but through his projects of Twekembe, Caritas, he encouraged people to work. I remember one time we were attending a function with him, and which he was presiding over, and a group of people arrived late. And in his sense of humor, he made fun about the people of Nakaseke that they didn't know how to keep time. When it came to my time to speak, I explained to him that those people had traveled over 60 miles to come and attend the function. I told him that in that large area, we had only 3 parishes, and I requested him to establish some more parishes so that he takes services to the people. By the time he left Kasanaruwero, he had established 3 more parishes. And all these parishes came with development. They came with schools, community centers, health centers, water, and also the general discipline, which goes with ecumenical services when they are brought to the people. One time he visited my farm and he made fun of me. It was during the period of drought, and he had heard that I was propagating cassava for food security. Many of my colleagues know here the song of Saida Akawa. So he came and was really, and he was genuine. He said, but how can your farmer, you as a leader, allow it to be Right Honorable Speaker, his advice was that we should start small-scale irrigation. As I conclude, Right Honorable Speaker, His Grace the late promoted unity and diversity. And that's one lesson all of us should take from him. We should not allow petty things to divide us permanently. Let's all promote unity and diversity. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nyendoha. Nyendoha, Amede, Lieutenant members, we need to stop somewhere.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. I want to thank Ndugu Rugunda for the motion that has been well moved of paying tribute to His Grace, Dr. Cyprian Kizito Lwanga, the Archbishop of Archdiocese of Kampala, and for his dedicated service to the Roman Catholic Church, the Christian family, and the people of Uganda. Bigira Nora Nyendoha bring condolences from the people of Lisa District and the entire Bunyoro sub-region. Many have talked about his life and his ministry as a priest, but I want to talk about Doctor's last days. The late Archbishop was a dedicated servant of God. He was ordained and set apart for God's purposes. Because when he accepted to be ordained as a priest in the Catholic Church, that means he allowed himself to be set apart for the service of God. And during that time, he took vows, which vows he kept to the end. And he did not relent in doing this. When you remember on that Good Friday, I was listening to him, I watched him and listened to him. One of his last messages was, and he was calling upon all religious leaders to strengthen the spiritual and moral fiber of the nation so that everybody lives in obedience to God. Me and you, we are leaders in different forms, but the challenge is, how are we going to end? What an end to our dear Archbishop. To me, it's a time to celebrate his life because he ended well in serving his God. I believe that the way the Lord called him was one of the best ways because he died in service. We want to thank God for his life, and we pray that the Lord will rest his soul in eternal peace and that we all emulate his good ministry and good example while on earth. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Honorable Amede, then Rakojo, Musasivi, and then Dr. Mori.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. And thank you, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, for the motion. On my behalf and on behalf of the people of Butembo District and the Christians of Tororo Archdiocese, I stand here to pay tribute to the late Archbishop. The Catholic Church is built on the foundations of social justice, human dignity, and solidarity. And those were the core values of the Archbishop. Many have already spoken basing on those values. On my own behalf, I would like to pay tribute to him for promoting inclusive development, for working with the poor. The Twekembe Women's Group is something that he has left standing. He also started a school in his home village. And normally when patrons, when managers of such institutions go, they struggle. I therefore pray that government will come to their aid and take them as partners in promoting human development. Let us promote his legacy by promoting politics of peace, politics of respect, and fourth, promote human dignity. I thank you, Honorable Speaker. May his soul rest in peace.
Honorable Rakojo. Rakojo Musasivi, then Honorable Mori.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity. I would like to thank the Right Honorable Prime Minister for moving this motion and to thank the seconders of the motion. On behalf of the people of Gomba West, I would like to support the motion and to bring sincere condolences to the Catholic community in Uganda. I would like to thank the Archbishop,
the late Archbishop for acting as a link through Bishop Ziwa of Mitiana to the people of Gomba West, because they benefited greatly from the Caritas project which he chaired. They got water tanks, water tankers, cows, banana suckers, oranges, pineapples, and coffee seedlings, amongst others. In fact, most of the bananas being consumed now in Madu were got through Caritas. I extend sympathy to Father Erineo Lukwago of Madu and to the Catholic community in Gomba West. I thank the late Archbishop for being developmental and for helping women, children, and their families to fight poverty and to remain healthy. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you. Honorable Msasuzi Moriko.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I join the rest of the colleagues to pay tribute to the late Archbishop Cyprian Gwanga, and I would like to thank government and the Prime Minister for coming up with this motion. Right Honorable Speaker, I came to know the late Archbishop Cyprian Gwanga when I got my first job at Caritas. That time, he was the president of Caritas in Uganda, and he was the bishop of Luwero Archdiocese. I later came to interact with him more when I came to Parliament in 2011, when he invited us for a dinner. I would like to appreciate him for a number of things. One, at the dinner, he encouraged us to remain united and legislate with the Christian lenses in our eyes. The late Archbishop Cyprian Gwanga made a significant contribution to grow Centenary Bank to where it is now. He spent over 17 years serving in the board of Centenary Bank. The late Archbishop Cyprian Gwanga established a number of projects in Kampala Archdiocese, Luwero Archdiocese, where he first worked, and a number of projects have been benchmarked by other dioceses, especially Kawale Diocese, where he comes from. Therefore, Madam Speaker, on behalf of the people of Rwanda, whom I represent, and on behalf of the people of Kawale Diocese, we want to extend our heartfelt condolences to the demise of the late Archbishop Cyprian Gwanga. We will remember him for his contribution. What we can say now is that may God grant him eternal rest. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Now, can I invite Dr. Maurice?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. I stand to support the motion to pay tribute to the late Archbishop Cyprian Kizito Lwanga by the Right Honorable Prime Minister and supported seconders. I want to thank you all. Madam Speaker, I want to thank you in a special way for the time you have allocated to enable that people give contributions and tribute to the late Bishop. Indeed, he deserves this length of time. Madam Speaker, the Bible says, let your light shine before men so that they see the good work that you do and give glory to your heavenly Father. And indeed, today, We are here to pay tribute. We are here to glorify God for the life that he has given to our beloved late Archbishop. Just one legacy that I want to remember him with, the legacy he left in social services, which affects directly the lives of the people. Madam Speaker, Kampala Archdiocese Health Department started in 1972, just as one of those departments of the lay apostolate. But under his leadership, currently there are over 25 health facilities with 4 hospitals, including Nsambia, Rubaga, Kisubi, and Kozi Hospital. We really thank him for this contribution in the health sector. The Archbishop took the vows of obedience. And Madam Speaker, indeed he lived to his vows. At the onset of COVID last year, when you recall the moment when the churches are to close up, the time when the church are not supposed to open the doors for Christians to worship, that was a very difficult moment and decision for the government. I recall when HE called the leaders of the church, Archbishop was one of the very obedient shepherds and the leaders to say, yes, I value the life of the people. We are not going to open the church for the people to come on Sundays. And we really thank him for being exemplary and closing the church during that time for valuing the life of the Christians. Madam Speaker, the Right Honorable Prime Minister has put it right here to us that what took the life of our dear beloved Archbishop was ischemic heart disease due to coronary artery thrombosis. Indeed, Madam Speaker, this arises due to the narrowing of the coronary arteries. These are 2 in number, Madam Speaker. These are the arteries that supplies the heart muscles and the component of the heart. And these are the arteries. Once they become narrow, the blood supply to the heart, the nutrient to the heart, oxygen supply to the heart will not be there. And eventually, the heart muscles and the entire component of the heart dies off, becomes necrosis, becomes ischemic. And this has taken some time, Madam Speaker. Since 2015, I want to thank the Catholic Church of Kampala Archdiocese at this point in time for the care and the love they have offered the Archbishop to ensure that coronary angioplasty and stent placement was done in India, to ensure that the health of the Archbishop was taken care of by the church. And the church did not stop there. In 2017, again, they make sure when the Archbishop made another journey to India, the church was there, the Catholic Archdiocese of Kampala, to take care of the Archbishop, to offer the best quality medical services so that that coronary artery is kept open and the Archbishop remains serving his flock. At this point in time, Madam Speaker, many of us will ask ourselves as health fraternity, what is it that we have not done to save the life of our Archbishop? Once the coronary artery becomes narrow and narrow and narrow, it blocks. There's going to be formation of plaques, formation of clot, and other substance, which occludes the blood supply to the heart muscles. And precisely that is what took the life of our dear Archbishop. And because of the formation of the plaque, the clot, which blocked the left coronary artery, eventually he had that sudden heart attack that led to his death. At this point in time, allow me really to appreciate the Catholic Archdiocese for the care they have offered for the Archbishop. I want to appreciate Rubaga Hospital. I want to appreciate Nakasero Hospital. I want to appreciate Medanda Hospital in India. And I want to thank Apollo International Hospital in India. All those hospitals and the healthcare workers that have really offered quality care to our Archbishop to ensure that all this time he was in position to look after himself. Lastly, Madam Speaker, as I conclude, as we pay tribute to his legacy, we are also learning lots of lessons to take home. In Uganda, 24.3% of people from studies that have been done, they have got high blood pressure. Out of the 24.3, 76.1 do not know that they have high blood pressure. And it is on that note that the death of the Archbishop should give us a really lesson, and everybody should rise up to speak about non-communicable diseases, our lifestyle diseases, the diet that we eat, the exercise that we do to keep fit, our habit of taking alcohol and smoking cigarette, and the stress of eventful life that we go all through. So I want to appeal to the people of Uganda as we continue to pay tribute to our beloved dear Archbishop. Let's learn lesson and see that he has looked after his health. We too, we should take this opportunity to take responsibility of our health. And finally, the social media, Madam Speaker, we are appealing to the social media. Health matters are private matters between me and my family. So when there is no official communication from recognized institutions, the media could spare these rumors that causes a lot of friction, causes a lot of tension, and that is precisely what has happened. I want to thank you. May his soul continue to rest in peace and his light continue to shine so that men see the good work he has done and give glory to our Heavenly Father. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Moriku. President, Prime Minister, and other members. Our plan had been to spend 1 hour to this tribute, but it became very clear that you cannot pay tribute to Dr. Kizito in 1 hour. You heard about the lives he touched, the people he gave jobs, the communities he transformed, the water, the health, the schools. So we have overshot our time, but 35 members have been able to pay tribute to the Archbishop. I want to invite the Prime Minister if he has some closing remarks to say them before we close.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Just a few remarks. One is to thank you and colleagues for spending this quality time paying tribute to our fallen top religious leader and indeed patriot. So this has been very, very befitting. Number two, many colleagues have raised issues which he himself raised a number of times about people who are in prison. Government is doing everything possible to ensure that the legal process, yes, that's the fact. Government is doing everything possible to see that courts of law do their work, and if there are gaps, government will endeavor to ensure that those gaps are filled so that courts of law do their work. Thirdly, the issue of ecumenism has been stressed, and really I wanted to say this fallen hero of ours was a great preacher. It happened that his last day, he talked about a number of things. I happened to be on the television, and for the first time, I heard somebody talking of, I may not be a very informed person, but he was one who was talking of 5 wounds that Jesus Christ had, and that information was given to him by him in such a strong way that it had impact on some of us. He also explained the cross that the Catholic community make and meaning of it. This was on television. So he was somebody who believed in explaining and giving clear messages. And in the humanism, this was his last symbol. Him and the Bishop Kazimba, the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda, together with their followers, moving in the way of the cross. So really, he demonstrated unity and ecumenism. I must agree with the colleagues, the fact that the President of Uganda announced and gave official burial to our fallen Archbishop was a very significant recognition that government attaches to his contribution to the country. The last comment that I want to make is what has been said about the children that he was supporting. This is a matter that will be looked at closely by Minister of Education and the government, because we don't want any Ugandan child to miss going to school. So this is a matter that will be followed. So in conclusion, I want to thank colleagues. I want to thank all those who played different roles in the send-off ceremony. Minister Muyingo was in Chabakade. His Excellency the Vice President was in the last day of send-off in Rubaga. The Minister of ICT was also at Rubaga. And I must say, our sister Nakiwala played special roles because of special closeness and relationship with Archbishop. And we are really grateful for all this devotion, love, and the patriotic responsibilities that you colleagues did play. He has departed, but he has left Uganda more united because of what he was doing, and because Ugandans closed their ranks and forgot their political lines, and they're united to say bye to him. May once again his soul rest in eternal peace.
Thank you. Prime Minister, I'm just seeking clarification. In view of your concluding remarks, how do we now move the issue of the children to the government? Can we ask them to submit a list to the government?
That's a fair point by the Right Honourable Speaker. The names should be submitted to the Minister of Education with the copies to His Excellency the President and the Prime Minister. We work as a coordinated government, and then government will consider rationally what is the appropriate action that should be taken to ensure that these young people do not miss on their education.
Thank you very much, honourable members. There was also another matter members wanted to add, but I realized it was in breach of Article 93. That's why I've now shifted to the Prime Minister. Concerning the political prisoners, tomorrow I have received notice that the Minister of Internal Affairs is coming to that issue tomorrow, so we shall take it up at that stage. But in the meantime, I want to put the question, that the question be put. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. And I put the question that this House do pay tribute to the late Dr. Cyprian Kizito, Archbishop of Kampala Diocese. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. I have it. Now the clerk is instructed to make two sets of tribute, together with the hazards of today. One set to be sent to the Archdiocese of Kampala, the second set to be sent to the family of our deceased friend. Thank you.
Statement by Minister. Statement on the signing of key agreements for the oil and gas sector.
Honorable Dr. Kitutu. Hey, I see the ministers moving. What's happening? No, you guys. Please. You are walking out because your business is finished? Dr. Kitutu.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, on Sunday 11 April 2021, Uganda witnessed a historic milestone in its journey to first oil, which marked the launch of Uganda's oil and gas projects. The event, which culminated into the conclusion of the key agreements, was graced by the two heads of state, His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni and High Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania. One of the key agreements signed was the Uganda Host Government Agreement, which is abbreviated HGA, between the government of Uganda and the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Company. It was an honor for me to sign on behalf of government of the Republic of Uganda. Mr. Martin Tiffen, the General Manager of the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Company, signed the Uganda HGA on behalf of the company. The HGA concluded the legal framework and contractual obligations between Uganda as the host country and the East African Crude Oil Pipeline Company as the project company. The second agreement was the Shareholders Agreement, abbreviated as SHA. The Shareholders Agreement defines the rights and responsibilities of the shareholders in the ECOP company. The shareholders are the Uganda National Oil Company, UNOC, with 15%, the joint venture partners, that is Total EP Uganda Limited, with 62%, and Sinop Uganda Limited with 8%, and the Tanzanian Petroleum Development Corporation, TPDC. TPDC will take shareholding of up to 15%. The SHA is significant because it has constituted the ECOP company and will now guide the funding of the shareholding, finance structure, and general governance of the company. The third agreement that was signed is the Tariff and Transportation Agreement, abbreviated as TTA. The TTA defines the rights and responsibilities of the shippers on one hand and the transporter on the other hand. The TTA was signed between the transporter, that is the ECOP company, and the shippers of the crude oil, who are the government of Uganda, UNOC, Total E&P Uganda Limited, and Sinop Uganda Limited. Right Honorable Speaker, the launch of the projects on Sunday paved way for ECOP company to award the main engineering, procurement, and construction contracts. The award of these contracts is important because it opens up substantial opportunities for Ugandans and Ugandan companies to provide goods and services for the construction of the ECOP. The conclusion of these key agreements for the ECOP, Right Honorable Speaker, is a major requirement for the announcement of the final investment decision, abbreviated as FID. It is important to appreciate that there is no document that will be signed for or called FID. The project launch on Sunday, 11th April 2021 at State House, Entebbe, is a demonstration of the commitment the respective governments and oil companies have for the projects. With these agreements in place, the oil companies and government can proceed with the approval and award of the contracts in the main engineering, procurement, and construction contractors. This will enable the construction work for the project to proceed. Government and companies estimate that first oil will be within 4 years, with the actual construction starting this year. However, other processes are already ongoing, including the acquisition of land for the pipeline and the EPC management activities. It is important for the people of Uganda to take note of and position themselves to benefit from the extensive activities already going on. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development developed the local content policy in 2018 to streamline the implementation of the national content regulations within the petroleum laws. There are also ongoing opportunities by the government and the joint venture partners for skills development, specialized training, and enterprise development, all aimed at building the capacity of Ugandans and Ugandan companies to competitively work in or supply goods and services to the sector. Right Honorable Speaker, it is a requirement for all companies that would like to supply goods and services in Uganda's oil and gas industry to register on the National Supplier Database through the Petroleum Authority of Uganda website. Similarly, Ugandans who would like to work in the sector are encouraged to get onto the National Oil and Gas Talent Register for easy access and visibility of the jobs in the sector. The signing of the agreements and the launch of the oil and gas projects, more so during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, are an assurance of commitment from our investment partners towards the sustainable development of Uganda's petroleum resources. Uganda's oil and gas project is the only major project in sub-Saharan Africa to be sanctioned since the pandemic started, which attests to the profitability of the project and the country as a favorable investment destination. The significant investment into Uganda's economy that has now been unlocked includes the implementation of the Tilenga project in Bulisa and Noya districts, and this will cost approximately $4 billion US. The Kingfisher project in Hoima and Chikube districts will cost approximately $1.5 billion US. The East African crude oil pipeline will cross the 10 districts of Hoima, Chikube, Kakumiro, Chankwanzi, Gomba, Mubende, Rwengo, Sembamule, Chotera, and Rakai in Uganda, and it will approximately cost $3.6 billion US. This is in addition to what government is already investing in the required support infrastructure. That includes Hoima International Airport, which is costing government over $500 million US, and also 700 kilometers of oil roads, which are costing around $900 million US. Some of the specific benefits that will accrue to Ugandans and Ugandan companies from the launch of the projects include the following: de-risking all the other upcoming projects, including the refinery and the new exploration projects. The development of the upstream projects guarantees the supply of feedstock into the refinery, while the pipeline and the refinery provide evacuation options for future oil discoveries in the new exploration areas. Employment of Ugandans. This will be through direct employment of about 14,000 people by the companies. Indirect employment will be about 45,000 people by the contractors, and the induced employment of about 105,000 people as a result of utilization of other services by the oil and gas sector. Of the direct employment, 57% are expected to be Ugandans, which is expected to result in an estimated income of US $48.5 million annually, and this will be paid to Ugandan employees. Participation of Ugandan enterprises in the provision of goods and services. At least 28% of the US dollar 15 billion, that is equivalent to 4.2 billion investment during the development and construction will go to Ugandan companies through provision of various goods and services and works. Currently, contracts worth US dollar 167 million out of the US dollar 1.362 billion recommendations for the Tilenga and Kingfisher projects that have been presented to the Petroleum Authority of Uganda before FID are to be awarded directly to Ugandan companies. This only accounts for 19 out of over 30 work packages to be awarded by the licensees. However, it is important to note that there will be many more subcontracts given to Ugandan companies through subcontracting by the level 1 contractors. Capacity building and technology transfer through subcontracting and joint venturing. With the involvement of the world-class oil service companies and the expected joint venture and subcontracting opportunities, Ugandan companies are expected to greatly benefit from the expected partnerships. As witnessed during the exploration phase, we expect Ugandan companies to progressively gain capabilities to provide technical services that have been hitherto been a preserve of more experienced foreign companies. And in addition, the GDP of the country expected to reach US dollar 40 billion in 2020-2021 will be significantly boosted through sector linkages by close to US dollar 9 billion. That is an increase of 22% by the end of the construction phase. In conclusion, Right Honorable Speaker, the oil agreement, conclusion of the oil agreement is a key milestone for the country. Government of Uganda commits to ensuring that processes leading to fast oil bring enhanced value for the country while maintaining a good return on investment for the investors. I beg to move. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Honour Minister. Honour members, this was really just for information because we were not present at the signing. So the Minister offered just to update us on where we are. But I think we shall ask our Committee on Natural Resources to follow up the contents and update Parliament further. Is that okay, member? Yes, national dialogue.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, and the Minister, Dr. Gidudu, for bringing Parliament and the country up to date. Honorable Speaker, through you last week, I laid on table here the matrix you helped us generate with the Ministry of Energy itself, how to fast track the fast oil in a multi-sectoral, interministerial, interagency coordinated way. We are in the budget process, Honorable Speaker, and I have been following this matrix which I laid on table. We are looking at the ministerial policy statements of different entities. It seemed as if at the beginning only PAO and the UNOC was being looked at. But when you see that matrix and when you see the interministerial way, there are so many sectors which up to now have not been brought to date. I would request, as the Committee of Natural Resources digests details of this statement from the Minister could go ahead, Ministry of Energy as the lead minister in oil and gas, working with the Ministry of Finance, which is in charge of the wallet. They should really give us a commitment in as far as making the dream of the first oil real. If 2025 is now believed to be the real of expected to manage expectation, then we should equally finance other government agencies, because the PSA model is giving the oil companies leverage, and for them they are now pushing for that Tanga pipeline.
But remember, for us as a country, we have Parliament has to give money, counterpart funding to all the agencies. If we don't, the cost of this oil could become higher and therefore rendering our profits very little. But most important, Honorable Speaker, I would also want, while they are reporting on the commitment of funding the sector, would want the refinery, which is going to be the most important benefit to East Africa. Value addition should also get a report, because we got reports, Honorable Speaker, that the consortium-led American company, we are about to repeat the Etau fiasco of Katosi Road. That company is a commission agent. So the earlier ones were much more serious. So we need also to be informed that that will be done. Finally, last speaker was in Hoima International Airport and found out the land we helped so much to acquire is empty and idle. Can the Ministry of Energy, working with trade and industry, work on that important Hoima International Industrial Park? No road, no water, no electricity, and we shouldn't give it to a PPP because it's such a viable project for Uganda. It's where we're going to get value addition. It's where we are going to change the opportunities and use that international airport. So those matters, I would request the minister bring a comprehensive report so that we can manage expectations of this country. But also, I want to thank her for the report, but the communication strategy, Honorable Speaker, you processed in Parliament. I think they had gone quiet because they were not sure. Now that the president has signed, can we see a more robust communication strategy so that citizens don't keep asking questions to Parliament when they don't know what's happening? I thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad the minister is here. She will respond at the appropriate time. But since we still have the energy people, let's go to item 9 for 2 minutes and then return to item 4. Item 5.
Item number 9. Response by Minister to urgent question. 9.1.
Honorable Minister of State for Minerals.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, this was a question raised by the Honorable Bukenya regarding the eviction of over 30,000 artisanal miners from Kisita mining site. Madam Speaker, this is not the first time that I am responding to this matter. It was raised in March, and yet I had just responded to the same from a member of parliament from the same district, Honorable Nsamba Patrick. Madam Speaker, allow me to inform this House that Kisita Mining Company was granted the mining lease for 21 years, and that was in August 2002. In 2015, Horizon Energy acquired 56% interest in Kisita Mining Company, and thereafter they were management wrangles, Madam Speaker, and between the two minority shareholders and the majority shareholder, and these two groups resolved their differences, and a consent agreement was arrived at on 16th January 2020. But during this time, when these companies had their management wrangles, some people went and took over the mining area. Madam Speaker, I personally, in March 2020, working with the anti-corruption team, because His Excellency the President had asked them to handle this matter, when the majority shareholder flew into the country from Abu Dhabi, we worked with Uganda Revenue Authority that initially wanted to auction the property. We all went to Kisita, and in the presence of the people who found at the site, we asked them to leave. Madam Speaker, they requested for only 2 days so that they wind up and leave, and these people left. To our surprise, Madam Speaker, when there was a lockdown, I was then informed that the Police Minerals Protection Unit, in connivance with some illegal miners, had gone back and were mining quietly. And this was reported to me by the chairman LC5 of Kasanda. When we went, there was another site where people had died. Madam Speaker, from then, more illegal miners. Imagine they were just, I found one with 100 people and asked them to leave. That gentleman we found at the site was arrested and even charged in court. But Madam Speaker, instead of the police now protecting the mining site, they opened up and all kinds of people, over 70 illegal heads, their heads employing these 30,000 people are at the site. Madam Speaker, His Excellency the President also picked interest and quietly investigated this matter. On 4th of August 2020, he convened a meeting between the IGP, myself, the Deputy IGP, and said his findings had shown that the Police Minerals Protection Unit were not doing the work that they were required to do and have instead encouraged illegal mining. Following that, Madam Speaker, His Excellency the President wrote a strong letter to us, addressed to me and to the IGP, to have these illegal miners evicted so that they don't continue depleting a resource that was given to to Kisita Mining Company. Madam Speaker, it is like having Mukwano there properly licensed to operate, and people go and take over, and Mukwano is out crying, and government is looking on. So, Madam Speaker, I want to appeal to this Parliament to support us to ensure that we end this business of people using some security organs to take over the mines of other people. It takes a lot of money for somebody to commence mining, because for 7 years you are just doing exploration and a lot of money is put in, sunk in. This gentleman came to this country. One thing he told me, Madam Speaker, this majority shareholder, that you have a beautiful country. Your president has been inviting us to come and invest, but you have crooks in this country. Because his manager was arrested for nothing and locked up in the cells. And when he was released, he left. He then, Madam Speaker, through some friends, got to know this Mr. Mustafa and appointed him as his manager now. Now you can hear Mr. Mustafa is a fugitive, is what? The police knows that. If the police knows that he's a fugitive, why haven't they arrested him? We as a sector cannot involve ourselves in those matters, and I want to state, Madam Speaker, that Mr. Mustafa is not a shareholder. This Turkish man they keep talking about is not a shareholder in Kisita Mining Company. Kisita Mining Company is owned by majority shareholder Horizon, who are from Abu Dhabi, and of course the other shareholder who sold was the Ugandan, the Mawanda family, because they could not, they did not have resources to procure the necessary equipment to get into real gold mining. So they sold their shares and brought these people on board. However, ever since then, these people have not been helped, even when the president has directed, Madam Speaker. I don't have a force, and I hope, Right Honorable Prime Minister, that we can resolve this matter. It is only in this country where the president can give a directive and people dilly-dally around the directive. So, Madam Speaker, I want to request that this Parliament supports us to get rid of these mafias from the mines. Otherwise, we are going to discourage investments in this sector, because once somebody has done exploration and found his gold, then others come and jump on board. And I also want to state, Madam Speaker, that these people, the 35,000 people that we are talking about, that we should find a livelihood for, are working for mafias. We want them to work for the owners of the company. And this is why we should get them out and let the owners of the company recruit them, because actually they were working for them even before. And when I met them, they actually had no problem. They said, for us, all we need is to work. So once we have order, they will definitely be working under the owners of the company. And I also want to state, Madam Speaker, to clear the air here, that where this mining site is, it is land for the National Forest Authority. It is not a place like others where there were settlers and people are claiming for compensation or something like that. So we are just left with 2 years for the lease to expire, Madam Speaker. But these people have not benefited from their investments. You can imagine this gentleman put in $8 million into the mines. The procured equipment, when you go there is equipment, there is everything, but he has failed to actually do his work. So, Madam Speaker, with those remarks, I want to conclude. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Minister. No, but there's no more debate on that issue. It was answered. This is now the second time. Yes, Chair of Natural Resources.
Madam Speaker, I just want to make some clarifications on this. I think, first of all, this is a classic case of the problems we have in the mining law, where somebody is given a big swath of land to do mining, and then they absent themselves, and then the local people stay. They do the mining, and then they get the gold, and when they discover, when the person owning the mining license discover that actually things are working out very well there, then they come in, and then they threaten to evict the people who are mining, and then they call them illegal miners. Now, there is a conflict between the people there who are owning the land, although the minister is saying that it's the land of National Forest Authority. Part of it might be, but the large swath of it, some of it is privately owned by the people there, but they don't have the mining license.
Point of order. Point of order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when I got to this ministry, the first complaint that I found handed over to me by Honorable Keris was on this company, because I got to the ministry in January 2020. The consent agreement between the majority and minority shareholders was arrived at on the 16th of January. Madam Speaker, the conflict in Kisita was a management one, and it had nothing to do with the people. It is now that some people are trying to come up and claim that they have been mining there. We all know the story about Kisita, Madam Speaker. There is nothing like there were people mining there. It was just a conflict amongst the management, and the police minerals protection unit actually became a problem also at this site, because some of them became beneficiaries of what was going on at this place. So it is not true that there are land conflicts regarding this site. There are land conflicts regarding another mining site close by, but not this particular one, Madam Speaker. Thank you, right? Is it in order, therefore, for the chairman to tell lies to this house that there are managed land conflicts when we don't have any known by us as the ministry that is supposed to be supervising these people?
Now, other members, the Mubende area, Kasanda, all these are mining areas, so maybe there are several conflicts. But let us not go into the
But also is the Honorable Minister in order to use unparliamentary language that I'm lying. But anyway, Madam Speaker, just to clarify, it's not a question of land conflict. It's a land of conflict between the artisanal miners and those who have been licensed to do the mining there. Okay, that's one problem on one hand. The other problem is that we have 35,000 people now doing the mining there. Now, of course, the owner has the mining license, and those who are mining there now, yes, are mining illegally. But how do we proceed? And by the way, I've looked at the letter of the president. The president's letter does not say that they should be evicted forcefully. Actually, it says they should try and find an amicable way of how they can be made to live. So what I think we have to do is to find an amicable way of how this process can be processed in order to reach a good understanding of how. Now, honourable members, I think. But I wonder why the minister is so agitated about this. You don't have vested interest in this.
Honourable members, let us go to item 4, please. Let's go to item 4.
Item number 4, motion for reconsideration of the Public Procurement and Disposal of Assets Amendment Bill 2020 as returned by His Excellency the President in accordance with Article 91(3)(b) of the Constitution.
Honourable members, yesterday we received a comprehensive report on the PPDA amendment as returned by His Excellency the President. We invited members to go and study the report, in particular the proposals for amendment, and we'll be concluding it today. So are there any comments? Yes, Honourable Ogon.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. This bill was returned, I think, on 9th of July 2020, and therefore we don't need to delay it. One, Madam Speaker, I have tried personally to go through this bill, and you find that it is a very technical bill to deal with. That is one. Two, most of the issues raised are speaking to issues of avoiding lacunas in the law. There is an issue of omission. There is another of effective operation, specifically about the tribunal. And then interpretation and application. And when you read through, Right Honourable Speaker, I do not see the need for us to have a prolonged debate over this returned bill. One, there was an issue raised by the President on the issue of renaming the PPDA. And he raises a concern that if you are not providing for the successor entity, how are you going to deal with the issues of liabilities and obligations? Because I think there was an omission there, we didn't provide for that. So I do not see anything that needs a lot of debate on that, because indeed, we must provide for succession. And I think the President needs to go into details. He should have even included their assets. Whenever you, as an accountant, I think Honorable Chair of the committee knows, whenever you talk about liabilities, remember to talk about assets. When you talk about assets, also remember to talk about liabilities. So assets and liabilities, obligations, pending contracts which have been signed, if you forget to talk about them, if you do not provide for succession, who will manage? You run away, you change your name, you are now a new entity. Who is going to manage your debts? What about the existing agreements? So I think the President has raises a valid point here, which does not really attract further questioning, in my opinion. The issue number 2 is the issue of omission to repeal section 90, which is to him similar to 89 and may cause contradictions. And this one is majorly dealing with issues of administrative reviews. And I think we don't need to debate over that. Madam Speaker, amendment of Part 7A of the Act is basically dealing with the issues of effective operation of the tribunal. And I believe, and I want to think, our committee did proper surgery. They did their job. And it will not be good for us to do spontaneous work on the floor. I think what the committee has done is fair enough. This bill is technical. If we allow for any spontaneous action here, it can easily get derailed, and operation of the bill, enforcement of the bill, implementation will be made hard. And yet, you know, the whole country
is waiting for this amendment. This is what saves us from all the quagmire that we have been having. And therefore, Madam Speaker, without wasting time, unless there's a colleague who feels he has a very pertinent issue to raise over these returned amendments, I would suggest, if your guide is so, we proceed straight away to committee stage so that we save on this. We have a lot of backlog, Madam Speaker, including the tax bills which are coming from tomorrow. But I want, before I sit down, to applaud the Committee on Finance, but also specifically the chair. Madam Speaker, whenever you have some privileges for your hardworking members, try to consider those who work. There are people who have sacrificed their families, they have sacrificed everything, they don't go on holidays, whereas other people are enjoying, they are working day and night. Hey, they are working like medical staff during lockdown, and yet there is nothing forthcoming for them. When there's an opportunity, please consider them. These people have worked. Honorable Bahati is there, Honorable Musasi, and the committee. I salute you. Madam Speaker, if you agree, let's proceed to committee stage. I thank you.
Okay, honor members, if there are no other comments, I put the question that the Public Procurement and Disposal of Assets Amendment Bill 2020 be read for the second time. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. I have it.
Bills committee stage. The Public Procurement and Disposal of Assets Amendment Bill 2020. Clause 3.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, in clause 3, the committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that the definition of the word authority inserted in the bill should be deleted and should not stand part of the bill. Justification, Madam Chair, the committee reviewed its decision to retain the decision of the word authority for the reason that the bill does not provide for the succession obligations of the authority.
Honor members, I put the question that clause 3 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. I have it. There's a new clause 5. Honorable Chair.
Right, Honorable Chair, we propose to insert a new clause 5, amending section 5(1) of the Principal Act. The committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that the inserted clause 5 in the bill should be deleted and should not stand part of the bill. Justification, the bill does not provide for the succession obligations of the authority.
Honor members, the question is that clause, the new clause 5 be deleted as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Aye. I have it.
Clause 6.
Honorable Chair, clause 6.
Clause 6, Madam Chair, in clause 6, we propose to amend section 8 of the Principal Act. The committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that the clause be redrafted as follows. I substitute for paragraph B the following. B, investigate and act on complaints received on a procurement or disposal process from members of the public that are not subject to administrative review or review by the tribunal. 2, repeal subsection 1E. The justification, Right Honorable Chair, is to broaden the authority's mandate in relation to investigations.
Now, members, the question is that clause 6 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Aye.
Clause 6 as amended.
Question is clause 6 as amended to stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Aye. Have it.
Clause 22.
Honorable Chair.
Madam Chair, in clause 22, we propose to amend section 58 of the Principal Act. The committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that paragraph B should be reinstated as proposed in the bill. Just
members, the question is that clause 22 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it.
Clause 35.
No, 22 was amended. Clause 22 was amended to stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it.
Clause 35.
Honorable Chair, 35.
Madam Chair, the committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that clause 35 of the bill be reinstated as proposed in the bill. I submit.
No, members, the question is that clause 35 be reinstated as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Aye. Ayes have it.
Clause 36.
36, Honorable Chair.
Right Honorable Chair, the committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that A, subclause 7, 7, and 8 in the bill be redrafted as follows. 7. The accounting officer shall, within 10 days of receipt of a complaint, make and communicate a decision in writing addressed to the bidder who makes the complaint and which shall indicate the reasons for the decision taken and the corrective measure to be taken, if any. 8. Where an accounting officer does not make a decision or communicate a decision within the period specified in subsection 7, or where a bidder is not satisfied with the decision made by the accounting officer under this section, the bidder may make an application to the tribunal in accordance with Part 7A of this Act. B, the word "and" at the end of subsection 11B be replaced with the word "or" to make the three situations in 1, 2, and 3 independent of each other. Justification: clarify on what the 10-day period in both cases apply to, and the conjunction "and" is misleading. I submit, Right Honorable Chair.
Honourable members, I put the question that clause 36 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
Aye. Clause 36 as amended.
Question is that clause 36 as amended to stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
Aye. Clause 37.
Honourable Chair, 37.
The committee, Madam Chair, agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that section 90 of the Principal Act be repealed and the original position in the bill of repealing sections 90 and 91 of the Principal Act be adopted. Justification: Madam Chair, clause 37 of the bill repealed section 90 and 91 of the Act. However, the amendment bill only repealed section 91 and not section 90. The provisions of section 90 of the bill are similar to the provisions of section 33 of the amendment bill, which amends section 89 of the Principal Act. Therefore, section 90 as retained in the Act is redundant and may, in some instances, contradict section 89. I submit.
Members who put the question that clause 37 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. I submit.
Clause 37 as amended.
Question is that clause 37 as amended to stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. I submit. Now you have the
insertion amending section 91B of the Principal Act.
Madam Chair, the committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that the word relevant appearing in the inserted paragraph B be deleted, and the inserted new clause 3A be drafted as follows. At least 2 of the members of the tribunal shall be women. Justification, paragraph B amend section 91B3 include the membership of the tribunal any other relevant profession. However, since the tribunal hears complaints on all procurement and disposal processes, and appointment is permanent for a period of 4 years, and not on a case-by-case basis, determining a relevant profession may not be possible, and provide clarity on the number of women to constitute the tribunal. I submit, Right Honorable Chair.
Thank you. Honor members, I put the question that a new clause 35 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Aye.
Clause 35 as amended.
Put the question that clause 35 as amended. No, the new clause
section 35.
No. A new clause section 35 be amended. Do stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Aye. I submit. We go to 37.
Insertion for a new section 91 CA.
Madam Chair, the committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that section 37, inserting a new section 91 CA in the Principal Act, be deleted. Justification, the inserted clause lists the functions of the tribunal. The functions in A, B, and D are stated in section 89 as part of the procedure of hearing applications by the tribunal. Part 7A of the Act provides the functions of the tribunal as a process to be adopted by the tribunal in hearing applications. I submit, Right Honorable Chair.
Members, the question is as clause 37 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
Aye.
I submit.
Clause 39.
In 39, Madam Chair, the committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that A, the inserted section 91 1I in the bill be substituted with the following. The following may apply to the tribunal for review of a decision of a procuring and disposing entity. A bidder who is aggrieved as specified in section 89(7) or 8. A person whose rights are adversely affected by a decision made by the accounting officer. Or C, a bidder who believes that the accounting officer has a conflict of interest as specified in section 89(9). B, the inserted section 91 I2 in the bill be substituted with the following. 2, the application shall be made A for section 89(7) within 7 working days from the date of receipt of the decision of the accounting officer. B, For section 89(8), within 10 days from the date of expiry of a period specified in the section. C, for section 89(9), within the 10 days from the date when the omission or breach by the procuring and disposing entity is alleged to have taken place. C, delete the inserted subclause section 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 from the bill. Justification provide clarity on who can apply to review the decision of an accounting officer. 2, to remove contradictions which bring ambiguity. I submit, Right Honorable Chair.
Honourable members, question is that clause 39 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
Clause 39 as amended.
Question is that clause 39 as amended do stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it.
Clause 41.
41, Honourable Chair.
Clause 41, the committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that clause 41 be maintained. Justification, the requirement for a procurement or disposal process to remain suspended where a bidder appeals to the tribunal against the decision of a procuring and disposing entity is relevant. I submit, Right Honorable Chair.
Now, members, the question is that clause 41 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
Aye.
Ayes have it. 42.
Clause 42.
Clause 42, the committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that the cross-reference in subsection 4 be substituted with 91(4). Justification consequential to the amendment in clause 41. I submit.
Now, members, put the question that clause 42 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Inserted new clause amending section 94 of the Principal Act.
Chair.
Madam Chair, the committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that the inserted clause 45 be deleted. Justification, the amendment allows a suspended provider to appeal the decision of the authority to the tribunal. However, a review of section 94 indicates that the suspension by PPDA is in most cases based on the decision by other bodies. For example, paragraphs B, C, and F of section 94 of the Principal Act, and that the authority does not act independently. And in paragraph D, a provider is suspended if the provider is convicted by a court of law, which court ranks higher than the tribunal. I submit, Right Honorable Chair.
Honourable members, the question is that clause 45 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Clause 45 as amended.
No, it's by division. Let's go to 46.
Insertion amending section 95 of the Principal Act.
Madam Chair, the committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that A, paragraphs F should be recast as follows. Delays contrary to the requirements of the Act, the opening of bids, the evaluation of bids, or making an award decision. B, the phrase without justifiable cause at the end of paragraph G should be replaced with contrary to the requirements of the Act. C, paragraph H should be replaced with the following. Cause loss of public funds or public assets as a result of negligence in the implementation of the Act. D, paragraph I should be replaced with the following. I fails to comply with the decision of the tribunal. Justification to better draft and remove ambiguity. I submit, Right Honorable Chair.
Members, the question is that in the new clause 46 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no. Ayes have it.
Aye.
51.
Clause 51.
Madam Chair, the committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that A, paragraph B should be substituted with the following. 1, substituting for Schedule 1A, where the term appears in the Principal Act with Schedule 2, and 2, inserting immediately after paragraph 6 of the schedule the following. 7, the Institute of Procurement Professionals of Uganda. B, paragraph F, that was renumbered as G, should be substituted with the following. G, substituting for the word authority appearing in the title of Part 7A, Section 91, I6, and Section 91, L, the term accounting officer. Justification, this is a miscellaneous amendment to substitute authority with accounting officer. The justification, the miscellaneous amendment to substitute authority with accounting officer was omitted. I submit.
The members, the question is that clause 51 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
Aye.
Clause 51 as amended.
Put the question that clause 51 as amended to stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Section 53.3, inserting
Chair.
transitional provision.
53.
Right Honorable Chair, the committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that Section 53 should be redrafted as follows. 3, the contract of the Executive Director appointed under Section 17 of the Principal Act and in office at the commencement of this Act shall be for 5 years from the date of commencement of the contract, and the contract may be renewed for a period specified in Section 12 of this Act. Justification, to revise the tenure of the Executive Director 5 years and provide for renewal of the contract, but without mention of the other terms of the contract, which were not amended by Section 12 of the Amendment Act. I submit.
My members, put the question that Section 53 be amended as proposed. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Section 53 as amended.
Put the question that Section 53 as amended to stand part of the bill. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Section 55.
55, Honorable Chair.
Madam Chair, the committee agrees with the President's guidance and proposes that the inserted paragraph 7 introducing the supply chain or Institute of Procurement Professionals of Uganda as one of the organizations to nominate members for the board of directors be deleted. Justification, consequential amendment to clause 51 of the bill. I submit.
Members, put the question that Section 55 be deleted. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Motion for the House to resume.
Madam Speaker and honorable colleagues, I beg to move that the House do resume and the committee of the whole House reports thereto.
Members, the question is that the House to resume and the committee of the whole House to report thereto. Those in favor say aye, the contrary no.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
Report from the Committee of the Whole House.
Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the bill entitled the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Amendment Bill 2020 as returned by His Excellency the President and passed it with amendments.
Motion for adoption.
Motion for adoption of reports of the Committee of the Whole House.
Without amendment. Madam Speaker, we are considering whether we passed it with amendments or whether.
There were some proposals.
Yeah, there were some proposals.
Redrafting this, redrafting that.
Yeah. Yes, there were amendments.
There were some amendments.
Madam
Motion
Speaker,
for adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole House.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the report of the Committee of the Whole House be adopted.
Honourable members, put the question that the report of the Committee of the Whole House be adopted. Those in favor say aye. Contrary, no.
Aye.
Bill third reading.
Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the bill entitled the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Amendment Bill 2020 be read the third time and do pass.
Now, members, the question is that the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Amendment Bill 2020 be read for the third time and do pass. Those in favor say aye. The contrary, no.
Aye.
Ayes have it.
A bill for an act entitled the Public Procurement and Disposal of Public Assets Amendment Act 2021.
Title settled and bill passes. Now, honour members, I just want to restate the reasons why I try hard not to allow spontaneous amendments. Because in this bill and the coffee bill, there was a lot of haggling. The work we are doing was disorganized here. So please support me when I reject. Please support when I reject spontaneous amendments. Yes.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank you so much. It's good you have raised this point. We have always persuaded our colleagues time and again to be cautious when we are processing technical bills. What has brought us to this stage were a number of developments which came at the point when the debate had already started. And also from the stakeholders who thought they would use the opportunity of this House and to bring in amendments at the last minute. And they eventually ended up almost defeating the intention of this bill. And therefore, we want to pledge our commitment, and we will continue guiding our colleagues that the Speaker feels comfortable when stakeholders and including colleagues in this House, when you have something pertinent to the bill, it is better you bring it to the committee rather than coming to distort the intention on the floor of the House. Madam Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity to appreciate you for giving us time. I know today was a very involving day for you, and also the motion we were considering prior was sensitive and needed a lot of time, but you tried as much as possible to allow us to present this bill. I want to appreciate you so much. And I want to appreciate Honorable Cyrus for the comments he made about my committee and myself. Madam Chair, for the last 5 years, I have been the chairperson of the Finance Committee, and I would like to note that it has not been an easy journey for me and my colleagues because we are quite a busy committee in this House, but with your support, and the support of the colleagues and the support of the minister has enabled us to process most of the work in time. Madam Chair, I want to pray that in the coming days, we be able to, as we process the tax bills, we have the remaining bill on local content, which was also returned by the president. I want to pray that we also find space at some stage next week to also consider it before our term expires. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Gonzaga.
Thank the chairman and the minister, but most especially my neighbor, Cyrus here. Madam Speaker, I think, I don't know how you will give us advice on this. What causes these spontaneous amendments on the floor is that when you invite these stakeholders to process the bill on the committee, many of our committees leave the position of the biggest number of the suggestions brought by those people they invited. The moment they don't do that, we end up getting in our pigeonholes from different NGOs, different, please save this, save this, save this. I think I pray, that will be in the amendment of our rules, when you get back to that seat, as I expect, that we do what? We have a rule governing committees. You cannot have 40 witnesses in the committee. 45 give a position, but the committee goes up from that position. They take the one of the 5 members. And at the end of the day, we find us here. Lastly, still this goes to we members of parliament. Some members don't attend. Now Cyrus is always here. He's better than me, I can say. When he came on the floor, and he gave all the suggestions, you see, it is shaming that the president referred, when he refers back a bill, and you find that whatever he's saying is correct as he has stated, then it is us who are suffering the pinch, because he's beating us technically. Otherwise, there are those bills which are controversial. Say, no, he has refused as parliament and committee, they were in tandem, but the president is not accepting. But referring it back, where amendments are genuine and fair, should avoid. So members who don't attend the reading of the report, they never read the bills, then they go to Serena, they go to where with the NGOs, they rush back here to disorganize the whole report. That will not save us, and we have seen it several times. But as I conclude, the committees, we must stick to why do you call stakeholders? For me, are viewing in the cameras of parliament or to give their input, which you end up rejecting. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Okay, thank you very much. The members, we had wanted to go to the report to the Rules Committee, but it's not appropriate at this time. But tomorrow we shall handle it. And as we said, if you have not put in the proposals, no amendments on the floor. Okay, the members, House adjourned 2 p.m. tomorrow.